Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Far Off Films. Should I say it now, or should we wait for me to say the news that has been
just say it now.
discussed?
We're in the end game now. That's what's happening.
Welcome back to one of the last episodes of Far Off Films, unfortunately. For now, we will see what happens in the far future, but for now, just between us, behind the scenes, we have decided or come to an agreement or something. We've talked. We've had discussions. And we're gonna be calling the podcast for now. It's gonna be the end of season 1. We're gonna end it off at 50 episodes, and this is currently the 48th episode, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna have a big fun recommendation for next episode, and then for the 50th episode, we're all going to be recommending our own thing, and it's going to be a nice big conclusion. Yeah, nice big family goodbye for the first season. We were saying right before we were recording, maybe it'll be like Twin Peaks. Maybe we'll return in like 20 years or something. But who knows? For now,
20 years, I hope not, because like we'll all have like families and shit. Like I would rather, I would rather not. But
and Timmy still will not have watched a single Kurosawa or Tarkovsky or Bergman.
Yeah,
you joke, but that probably will be the case. I've gone my whole life without having seen it.
Time, guys.
Yeah, I dealing with kids is hard. I gotta raise
guys, I
3
rewatched
kids.
Ava for like the 17th time, but I couldn't get like 2 hours out of my day to watch Mirror. I'm so sorry, guys.
I mean, that's just really how it is. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, so I have this entire extension of hentai collection, but I just could not have the time to watch Rashomon or Yojimbo. So I'm sorry. I wish I had time, but I don't.
But yeah, is there anything else? Oh, I guess we forgot to introduce ourselves, but I mean, you guys should know us already.
I'm Dirk Diggler from Dirk Jong-un Productions. There.
Fuck, who am I? I'm Stanley. From How Smart Are Kids? What do kids know?
It's funny you mention that because you look like you're about the same age as Stanley, Jules. It's funny you mention
that. I'm just something that happens. Welcome back to Far Off Film. Yeah, so do we have any shit that we want to say before we get into the movies, or should we just get into the movies?
I mean, it's I'll just reiterate what you said. Like you said,
we actually do
have
because good friend, fellow legend Matthias wrote in the last episode's comments that he wanted our thoughts on the new Lord of the Rings film being developed.
Oh, I literally was gonna bring that up. I was like, so Jules, I'm sure you have some hot takes on the fucking Lord of the Rings, the Hunt Down the Gollum, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Actually.
Like, is it called what is it called specifically? The Hunt for Gollum? Okay. So this is Warner Brothers whoring out Lord of the Rings again because apparently the Hobbit trilogy went so fucking well the first time.
Yeah, and then I'm sure that this means... In fact, I'm calling this now. Someone clip this. That there is going to be an Aragorn film. It will not be Viggo Mortensen, but it'll be someone else.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Viggo Mortensen isn't gonna come back for this shit. Like, can you imagine, like, Viggo Mortensen, like, coming back to appear in this shit? Never. Yeah, like, he already said no, like, in the Hobbit trilogy.
To come back as Aragorn, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
It's the day that all hope is lost, that fucking humanity has been damned to the next eternal attempt. Because he said no to the Hobbit trilogy. He was like, no, I'm not coming back. Like, first of all, Aragorn wasn't even in the original Hobbit trilogy, and second of all, like, it just wouldn't make sense, like Legolas being in the original Hobbit trilogy already like didn't make any sense. Like, how would you have possibly explained how Aragorn
would...
yeah, like yeah, this is just a fucking waste of time. And they're really just trying to be like, no, no, no. Peter Jackson is coming back as a producer. And like Fran Walsh and Philippa however you pronounce that other person's name, they're coming back to write it. And I was just like who the fuck cares? Like it's you're making a Hunt for Gollum movie. Like, do you realize how stupid and pointless this is? You know? And from what I understand, like this movie is based on like a single footnote that appeared in like I think the Fellowship of the Ring book or something like that. So they're basing this entire movie based on a fucking footnote.
Yeah, well, I guess that's they made an entire movie out of 3 pages and called it the Battle of the Five Armies. So
that is true. I guess if they can turn 3 pages of a children's book into a 2.5, it was like 2.5 hours, right? 2.5 hour, 3-hour long film, then anything is possible, really.
And fucking, I think Philippa Boyens is writing the script, and maybe Fran Walsh. I don't know if Peter Jackson's doing it.
From what I understand, Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh is writing, and then Peter Jackson is just producing, and then like fucking Andy Serkis is directing it.
Andy Serkis,
you know, the guy who directed Venom 2.
What?
Yeah, this is
no.
and the director of Venom 2.
Yeah, Venom 2 and the Jungle Book movie, but not the Disney one, the shitty one on Netflix. Yeah, this is our dream team for hunting. The Call of the Hunt of the Gollum, or fucking whatever it's called. This entire fucking title is stupid. Like Hunt the Hunt for Gollum. Jesus, it's so stupid that I couldn't even remember it. Yeah. So yeah, Hunt down the Gollum. Yeah, I would have preferred if they just called it that instead. Hunt down
is this gonna be like a prequel or something?
It is it's technically a prequel, but
the
also
time that was Gollum was looking for Bilbo. He was on a journey to the Shire, and he was being hunted by Gandalf and Aragorn and Mordor, and then Mordor eventually end up catching him, and then they take him to the dungeons of Barad-dûr and they torture him, and he says like Shire and Baggins, and then that kind of kicks off the thing where the 9 Rays are on their way to find Frodo and shit. And that.
Yeah, basically, remember that one single scene in the Fellowship of the Ring where Gollum's arm is like popped out and it is like Shire, Baggins, like for like a single like 10 seconds. They're making a movie based on that, like how Gollum got into this situation. Yeah, the lore breakdown, yeah. And it's probably going to be like 3+ hours long because this is Lord of the Rings and we just can't help but make anything below 90 minutes, like even if it makes zero sense. Like, in all honesty, I honest to God believe that if Warner Brothers really wanted to make a trilogy of The Hobbit and each film was just only like 90 minutes or something, I genuinely believe the entire trilogy would be better. Like, even if they changed nothing else about the movie, like they didn't change the writing or like how much CG they were using or the directing or whatever, if they changed literally nothing but just made each movie shorter, they would all be automatically better. Like, they would just be stronger movies inherently. I guess like if this was just 90 minutes or something, I guess I would be okay with that. But knowing like Peter Jackson and Warner Brothers, they're probably going to find some way to stretch out the story for as long as fucking possible, and it's going to be really annoying.
Oh, God.
The biggest surprise to me is that PJ is back to produce, or he's back having some involvement with it after like
I know that's the worst thing about it for me.
Like that is the worst thing. Yeah, that's so surprising.
I'm surprised Peter Jackson. Yeah, I'm surprised Peter Jackson even wants to come back. Like, because he was treated like shit during the Hobbit trilogy. Like, he straight up has said in the behind the scenes footage of the Hobbit movies that he didn't have a good time, that he didn't know what he was doing, and that the studio didn't give him the resources and time that he had in Lord of the Rings, and he like was having a bad time. Like, why would you purposely like put yourself in there? Like, I get that like you're probably gonna make a ton of money off of this, but like, you already made a ton of money off of like the other trilogies.
He's basically in retirement now. Like, he doesn't really do anything. Like, he makes an occasional documentary, and that's like kind of like his little passion projects. But that's it. He's basically like a retired filmmaker now, in my mind. Like, it's been so long since he's made anything.
Which honestly makes sense. Like, good for him. Like, why if you made like Three of the most iconic and box office successes ever with the Lord of the
I think
Rings
he's a
trilogy.
really
Like,
fan in New Zealand.
yeah,
That
exactly. Like,
makes sense.
why would you ever want to
Yeah.
try again? You know, like you're already set
Yeah.
for life. Like, there's no reason to put yourself out there again. Like, I know that's like a sad thing to say because, like, keep in mind,
Yeah,
like that's what George
exactly.
Lucas
But
basically
he's just
did too. Like,
content
once,
making
like,
his little documentaries and like collecting his old World War II planes and shit.
yeah, I guess so. Is he still
But he's
making
so
that?
lazy, he's never going to make that second Tintin film that I want him
I was
to.
gonna ask, is he still making that Tintin squeakquel, or is that pretty much dead in the
No,
water?
that's never going to happen.
Okay. Yeah,
I
it
mean, I
really
hope it
sucks.
does, but I am. It's not likely.
I would have loved for like Peter Jackson. I know he's basically retired at this point, but I would love for him to have like made like one more like horror comedy. Like if he made like another Brain
Yes.
Dead or some shit, I would have loved that. But clearly, he doesn't care about that anymore.
It's not. It's not fun being a Lord of the Rings fan anymore. It's just like
It's not
we
fun
just
being
hit
a
over the
fan
head
of
with this shit.
anything. It's not fun
Ever
being a
since The
fan of
Hobbit, it's
anything.
just been like a never-ending stream of just like trash. Like it's
Yeah,
just,
we
it's
haven't
we've
even
had
brought
the.
up the ring. We haven't even brought up the Rings of Power yet, but that one's so forgettable that
Don't
like
get me
I'm pretty
started.
sure we all forgot.
Don't get me started. There was a 5-hour
Yeah.
video that I was making or something that I stopped making because I just got so burnt out talking about this like fucking shitty series that I hated so much. And I was like, you know what? Just for the sake of my own like health, I'm just gonna work on other stuff. Fuck this video.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't deserve your attention. Like it doesn't deserve your hatred. Like there's the show is so lacking cuz like I honestly I stopped at around like episode 3ish, I think, 3 or 4. Because I was so bored. I was getting genuinely frustrated. I was like, literally nothing is fucking happening so far. Like the most that they've done is remember this, and then they reference the thing and like some new shit, and that's about it. It's just like and apparently like the only reason I was even excited for the show because presumably I assumed that that the show was going to be based off of like the Silmarillion or something, but it's not even
Oh
that. It's
no,
based off like fucking footnotes from the Lord of the Rings like novels. It's like
because they
this is what
didn't
Amazon
fucking
paid
buy
like
the
half a billion.
Silmarillion. They were so dumb.
Yeah, like this is what Amazon paid $500 million for footnotes.
Yeah, and that. Do you know
Yeah.
there's a Lord of the Rings movie coming out this year, like end of this year?
Oh, are you talking about the anime one?
Yeah, the War of the Rohirrim.
Yeah, I mean,
That one has the potential to be good. I'm vaguely interested, but I've not seen. There's no like one still from it that I've seen, and like there's no trailer. I don't think so.
yeah,
I'm withholding my judgment until now.
Lord of the Rings is becoming dangerously close to essentially what Star Wars has become for me because Star Wars used to be this thing that I really, really loved, that I was obsessed with. But it's been so spammed and ruined to the ground that I literally just cannot. I don't have it in me to give a shit about anything Star Wars related anymore. And like, Lord of the Rings has the potential to essentially be Star Wars again for me, where it's like you took something that I loved and took something that I thought was great and amazing, and you're just spamming it to such an extent that I literally just can't. I don't have it in me to care anymore. Like it's dangerously close to becoming like that for me, and I really hope that doesn't happen. Like I really hope someone like smacks someone in Warner Brothers media and just be like, dude, what the fuck, like stop, like
No, I
someone
hope
needs.
the Tolkien estate like gets their shit together. They used to be like so gatekeepy. They were like, "No, we will never allow anything to ever be made of Lord of the Rings." And then after Ralph Bakshi kind of like bungled it up, and like that one was like really poorly received. They resisted Peter Jackson for so long. They were like just absolute assholes to him.
I
And
mean,
now
they
they're
didn't
just like,
even like
"Oh
his movies
yes,"
anyway.
like. Yeah, they
They
hated
didn't
them.
even like
It's
his
like,
movies.
where's your
Yeah.
spirit again? Stop being gatekeepy. When it's like Warner Bros. Of like David Zaslav making statements like, the Lord of the Rings IP has not been used in a very long time. We're thinking of getting back to those, which is an actual statement that he made, by the way. That's
No, I
vaguely
know, like
paraphrased, but he said that he
this.
used the word Lord of the Rings IP at some point.
Yeah, this dumb fuck is like doesn't view art in any other way except as a commodity, and he's the one in charge of Warner Brothers because he like basically said the same shit about like Harry Potter. It's like I know
Oh
J.K.
yeah, Harry
Rowling did
Potter's
some
getting
bad
that
things,
TV reboot.
but Harry Potter is a property. It's an IP that we could continue mining, and so we have to enter business with J.K. Rowling. You don't have to do anything, David.
On the bright side,
Yeah.
2 new Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Let's go.
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
Gore Verbinski.
And
Yeah,
not even
not
Johnny
Gore
Depp, because apparently they're
Verbinski.
making a reboot with Barbie, with Margot Robbie.
No.
Robbie,
So
yeah.
that one's following the main canon, and then there's another one coming out that's a reboot.
What? I thought the Margot Robbie one was the reboot. Are they making another Johnny
there's
Depp one?
2 separate ones. I think. I think.
Wait, so what's the reboot gonna be? Jack Sparrow again? Or I haven't looked too deeply in.
I honestly don't know. I just saw a Twitter post at some point. I don't remember how long ago actually, but it was like.
I saw it too. It was like a few days ago.
But yeah, it was just something essentially saying that there's 2 new Pirates of the Caribbean films coming out.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys are excited. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean has been like a dead franchise since like basically the fucking 4th one. You know, like I didn't really
Since
care
the
much for
third
the
one.
2nd or 3rd one,
After
but
Gore
like at
Verbinski
least
left,
like
then it was done.
yeah, the 4th one. I honestly I saw the 5th one at some point in my life because according to Letterboxd, I have a rating for it. But I swear to Christ, I literally don't remember a single thing about the movie, like whatsoever. Like it entered. I honestly remember like 2 things about the movie. I remember young CG Johnny Depp, and then I remember like Javier Bardem's like a ghost or like a ghoul or some shit or something like that. I don't fucking remember.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
the skeleton pirates again, basically.
Oh yeah, because and then the 4th one was just like I was like, what is
Okay,
like? Why did
I
this
got
need
it
to
wrong, guys.
exist?
I got it wrong.
Oh
So, so the reboot is actually the one with Margot Robbie, yes. And then there's a 6th film in the original franchise written by the same writers as all the other ones.
oh yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, wonderful, just amazing. Yeah. So is
I don't
Johnny Depp
know.
coming back to that
I
one,
think
or is this?
one of them could be good, maybe, hopefully. Who knows?
I feel like the Margot Robbie one has the potential to maybe be not shit because it's like that one's like starting on a clean slate, you know? Like I feel like by making a 6th entry into this franchise, like you're just you're already pigeonholed into like such a shitty sense of continuity, you know? Like why would you want to continue that? Unless they plan on making like a Force Awakens style movie where it's like a soft reboot where they just do everything that the first movie did or something. That's probably what will happen anyway. Except they'll get a younger Keira Knightley and a younger Orlando Bloom or something. I don't know.
They're
it'll
just
be
gonna
like
make the main pirate be Margot Robbie, obviously.
Yeah,
she would be interesting as a pirate, honestly.
Yeah, like
At least it's not like Timothy Chalamet as the pirate. That I would be mad about.
yeah.
Probably will bring Timothy Chalamet or some shit, you know. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised they didn't
Timmy's got Dune, okay. He's had his supper.
Or it's like Barry Keoghan or someone.
Yeah, they'll probably bring like fucking what's her face, the Wednesday
Jacob Elordi.
actress. Yeah, Jacob
Oh
Elordi.
yeah. Oh no, they would
The
totally bring the Wednesday actress. You're so right, Timmy. Oh no.
Yeah, they'll
That actually
probably bring
probably
her
will
as like
happen, to be honest.
Yeah, like I
She's
can
in the
she's
new,
picture it, which is not.
she's in the new
Tim
Beetlejuice
Burton.
movie.
She's in the Beetlejuice sequel.
Yeah, so
There's a
because
Beetlejuice
ever since
sequel?
Yeah.
and Willem
There's a
Dafoe's in
trailer.
it
What is going on
apparently.
with the world? What is going on?
Willem
Let's talk
Dafoe's
about some
apparently
real
in the
movies,
movie.
please.
Yeah. I actually did not know Willem Dafoe. So I saw I went to go see Furiosa. There was a trailer for Beetlejuice 2, and that was like my moment where I was like, "Oh, Willem Dafoe's in this." I actually didn't know that. Like,
What?
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know Willem Dafoe was in the movie until I saw the trailer. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. I guess." Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll look this up.
yeah, but yeah.
Willem, who had such a good streak going.
Justin Theroux is also in the movie. Weirdly, I didn't know that either. Like, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I guess."
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, all the people you'd expect to come back are in it. Like, Winona Ryder's in it, but she's old, and Michael Keaton's in it, but he's old. Everyone's old
Winona
except
Ryder's like
Jenna Ortega, that's her name.
that's
Jenna
it. Yeah, sorry,
Ortega.
thank you.
Yeah.
I literally forgot her name until you brought it up. She's like the it girl when it comes to horror because she was also in the Scream movies too, 5 and 6.
She was an X as well.
So yeah, they'll
Speaking
probably
of porn movies.
yeah. All right, all right. Next thing, yeah, the movies. So
Yeah, I think we start with Boogie Nights because I mean it just came out before Magnolia.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you
Yeah.
really want to talk about Magnolia first.
No, we can save Magnolia.
Magnolia.
But yeah. Whoa. What? No, you can't dump this on me now. Yeah, so I recommended a double whammy. I did Boogie Nights and Magnolia. Two PTA movies that came out right after each other. And they both they're probably the most similar PTA movies in the sense that, like, you know, they take place in the San Fernando Valley and they're like uh, chronicling the lives of like many different characters and how their stories all come together. And yeah, I just thought it would be a fun double feature because I wanted Timmy to watch Magnolia. But that's pretty much my reasoning behind it. But I was like, you know, might as well throw Boogie Nights in there as well because it's a great movie too. So yeah, I really love Boogie Nights. I think it has just one of the best opening scenes to any movie ever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's simply just one of the best. Like
It's really funny because, like, what I love about the opening of the film is that it honestly kind of does a great job, like, foreshadowing, like, the tone for the rest of the movie because it starts out with this, like, very, like, somber, very, like, almost melancholy, like, tune, you know, like when like the logos start popping up and shit, and that like foreshadows like essentially like the dark period of the film. You know, like after Marky Mark leaves the porn set, but right afterwards it just cuts to this like big bombastic like poppy like opening like song where like it's like this huge like it's this wonder where everyone's like going through the club and stuff like that. I think like that opening alone just does such a great job of like foreshadowing what happens in the rest of the film. It's like because the film is very much this like rise and fall of mostly Marky Mark, but like everyone else, and like that like opening like 5 minutes just like does a great job foreshadowing that
like
exact rise and fall.
The beginning of the film is very much like a mirror of the end of the film as well. Like
Yeah.
they both have like this like panning between all the characters, but like it's obviously like different parts of like different time frames and like yeah, but it's kind of like a mirror image of what's to come because I mean, damn, we're jumping straight to the end, but like you know, like Mark Wahlberg's character, he does go through like this whole thing, but he kind of like ends up exactly where he started, you know. So like yeah, that opening like very much is tying into the end in that sense. In my notes when I said the beginning mirrors the end, I put in brackets mystery box cock, and I don't know why I wrote that in brackets. But it was something I wrote down. Maybe it's important. Maybe one of the characters says like that as a line, and like at the end of the film, you kind of eventually see this feature of Mark Wahlberg, which has kind of been teased the whole movie. You know,
his prosthetic dick. Yeah. So.
Yeah. You know?
Honestly, Marky Mark is such a fucking coward.
Right?
He's such a fucking coward. Like he didn't even have like the gall, the bravery to show his own dick in this movie about pornos like, and porn stars. You know, like what a fucking coward. Like who knows? Maybe his penis might be really small or something, but still, like what an asshole. Yeah.
Any man who grows up racially beating Vietnamese people, and black people probably has a small dick.
Yeah, the tiniest of micro penises. So, yeah, I'm sure Marky Mark would have nothing but positive things to say about someone like myself. So
Yes.
I'm just gonna say this up front. I think this is the only performance from Mark Wahlberg that I can say is like actually good. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because like
What about The
well,
Departed?
okay. Well, here's the thing. Because what I really do not dislike about Marky Mark, aside from him being a racist, religious piece of shit, is that he's essentially sort of like The Rock, where he just basically just plays a version of himself. He just plays himself like every single movie, regardless if it's a good or a bad film. So in something like The Departed, like he's he fits within the context of that film. He does give a good performance, but he's also
pretty
just
good.
playing Marky Mark. He's just Marky Mark in the film. His performance in The Departed is literally not that different from like something like, say, I don't know, like Transformers 4 or Pain and Gain or some shit. It's like literally not that different. It's just him like being a swearing Boston accent man just happened to work within the context of The Departed, but it doesn't work when he's like that in every other movie that he's in. Like this is the only movie where Mark Wahlberg actually like plays a character where I don't see Marky Mark. I actually see Dirk Diggler. I see the character. There are at times where I was like, oh god, that's just Mark Wahlberg, and I just can't deal with that. Because I honestly don't care for Mark Wahlberg at all. But like for most of the movie, he like manages to like actually give a decent, convincing performance. And I was like, wow, if Mark Wahlberg was as like half as talented as his performance in this, like he could actually like establish himself as a decent actor. So sorry, what were you gonna say? I interrupted you.
I was gonna suggest, have you seen The Fighter with Christian Bale? He's pretty good in that.
Oh no, I haven't, but I should take your word for it, I guess.
Also,
I don't know if you guys know
the
this.
James Gray film We Own the Night. I haven't seen that, but I've heard he's really good in it.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys actually really know this about me, but I cannot fucking stand Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, neither can I.
Actually,
Fair.
I can't.
Does
fucking
anyone
stand
like?
him.
Does anyone
I think
actually
there's
like
some
Mark
people that
Wahlberg?
think he's funny. I think there's some people that think he's funny and like him. But this guy is on like a Ryan Reynolds level to me, where like I just don't want to see his face.
Oh yeah.
So
That's another good
this
example.
is the
He's
one
like that.
movie. This is the one movie where he's actually bearable and actually unique to watch, and I commend that because.
And even then, like
yeah,
his Marky Markisms, like they do come out, but they like fit
okay,
within the
I don't know
context
what
of the
the
movie.
fucking
Like
Marky Markisms are. I just think that he worked really well in this movie.
I'm really just talking about like
said,
any
the
scenes where
concept.
like the scene where like he's like fighting with Jack and he's like, I'm the king, you're not the boss of me, you're not my mother or whatever, like when he gets into his like Marky Markisms or whatever, like it's really cringe and annoying, but like it's
Is that what a
in that
Marky
context,
Markism is?
I mean, I don't know
I'm
what
being
defines a
genuine
Marky
here.
Mark. I'm just like I guess it's like one of his Marky Markisms are just like getting in a high pitched voice and like complaining about something or doing a Boston
Okay.
accent because like that's basically like his entire performance in Ted and Ted. Jesus, sorry, Ted and Ted 2, where he does a high pitched voice and it's like, "You're not the boss of me. You're not my mother. You're not. I'm the king. I'm the king." And like when he does that in his fight against Jack, like it's also equally annoying, but like it also works within the context of that film because like Dirk Diggler is basically just like a man child. He's just this like he throws a fit when like things don't go his way. Like one of the best examples of that was when he's like
he's
fighting with
essentially
his
like
mom.
he's like a kid that has no love that like suddenly turns into a kid that has too much love, and it's like
Yeah.
him trying to balance between these two like very extreme states, and I think I think he manages like within his character and his performance, like he portrays that like very very well, like going from this like nobody to like this hot shot to then have to like grapple with the sense of being like a nobody again. Like there's no in between for him,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like very
He's either a star
yeah.
or he's nothing.
Oh, he's nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you gotta give, and I'm gonna give Mark Wahlberg some credit. Like during during his slump era, essentially when he's back to being a nobody again, like he does a great job, like playing that specific character. Like that scene where he hugs Jack and starts breaking down, like crying, saying "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry" or whatever. Like he does a good job. Like he is convincing within that particular role. It's like this is what's so fucking frustrating about Marky Mark as an actor is that he is capable of delivering like great performances. He just chooses not to. And like, did you guys see that like fucking interview he did where like he regretted like being in like fucking Boogie Nights or some shit because like now he's like a man
and then
of Jesus
Julianne
or
Moore
whatever.
clapped back and said like you should be thankful for it because it made your career.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
like
dude. Oh, we love Julian. We love Julian.
yeah, now he's just like, oh, I'm a man of Jesus now, and I don't condone that shit. It's like, dude, fuck off. Just I don't. Oh my god, I fucking hate Mark Wahlberg so much.
Such a piece of shit. Anyway,
Yeah.
back to the kind of like the party scenes of this film, like the opening kind of like club shit. I don't think that any person has ever filmed like parties or clubs better than PTA in this film. Like, I think it's the color grading, the lighting, like the tracking between like all the different characters and stuff, and the soundtrack, obviously, which is like a thing of its own, which we'll get into. Like, it's just
Soundtrack is incredible.
It's so fucking utterly perfect. My favorite, shot in this film is the one, like the first party at Jack Horner's house where he like you follow one of the ladies like across the backyard, like getting in a whole view of the party, and then like it goes with her into the swimming pool underwater, and then comes back up for dialogue and pans to Dirk Diggler in the pool talking to John C. Reilly. Like that is fucking incredible filmmaking. Like it's the fact that it comes up for dialogue out of the water is insane to me. And also that a 26-year-old made that. Like, it definitely feels like someone who's just like, sort of, like they have very ambitious ideas, but they're also and they're maybe a bit egocentric, but they're obviously a genius at the same time, and they can actually like pull it off. It's so fucking like just, it's so ambitious and just kind of like sweeping, like almost literally, like the way it pans to and fro from each character to the next. Like it's amazing.
You know I love my swooping camera motions, and you know PTA loves them too, because goddamn.
PTA really does a great job like establishing a sense of like scope to his films. Like you get like even for like a film about this, well, like where it's just like, you know, it's a movie about porn stars in the porn industry. Like he like the way he shoots like say like party scenes, for example, really does a great job of establishing like the sense of scale to his movies. Like they're like larger than life basically. But then it also like contrasts very well with the second half of the film where everything is much darker and more depressing. Like there are a lot more like close up shots of like the characters like crying or like being depressed or whatever. Like that scene where Mark Wahlberg is like jerking off for money or whatever, and it cuts back and forth between uh uh Burt Reynolds' character like beating the shit out of that one guy, and then like Roller Girl like also kicking the shit out of him at the same time. You know, it's like the way they cut back and forth between that. Like the editing in this film is just fucking fantastic. It really does a great job of like really grabbing your attention. Like I think that's the great thing about PTA as a filmmaker is that like regardless of how like long and ambitious his films are, because of the way he shoots his movies and how he edits his films, like they really managed to grip you. They really managed to captivate you. And like I think this is a prime example where it's like the film is 2.5 hours long, yet it doesn't feel that way whatsoever. Like
it's
it just flies by.
Like, long movies ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's also just like
and
he knows when to be expansive and when to be intimate, and he's just so fucking good at both. Like the party scenes is like he'll there's like about like 20-30 people like in the scene. Like he'll pan around like going from one person to the next, and you can see like conversations going on. Like it's so well like blocked and everything. Like everyone's exactly where they need to be, and it's like there's never a point where it feels like there's like a kind of like a dead bit of the frame. Everyone's like having conversations, and you can like pick up bits of it, and they're talking about this and that, and
Yeah,
music or
it's a
like dope or whatever,
realist.
and it's amazing. But then he can kind of like get to the very kind of personal in the frame, like that like kind of scene you mentioned to me where he's like whoring himself basically to that homophobic guy, and it's like
Yeah.
the kind of the intensity and like the I guess the pan in towards him as he's like desperately just trying to, I guess, like get hard. It's like it really fucking gets you, like, and I guess probably a very great moment of Mark Wahlberg acting as he's jerking off trying to get a erection.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's, and I love how, like, I thought it was really interesting that, like, Julianne Moore's character essentially is responsible somewhat for that descent into, like, into nobodyism, you know, because, like, I love how, like, Julianne Moore's, like, character, like, hypes herself up as this, like, motherly figure, you know, like, she, like, views herself as, like, sort of like the
Yeah.
mother of the group, and even
I
like
wish
Roller Girl
I
is
could
like,
have her as my mother.
yeah, me too,
Same.
yeah.
Same.
Yeah, and like Roller Girl even like asks like, "Can you be my mom? Can you please be my mom?" or whatever, you know,
Most
like,
relatable scene in the film.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's like when
When I
like,
was watching that, I was like, I wish.
yeah,
Yeah.
which, yeah, best top moms that Misato and Julianne Moore's character in Boogie Nights, the top moms of all time, the moms that we end up kissing at the end. I mean, that's what happens. So anyway, what the point I was trying to say is that, like, I love how, like, Julianne Moore's character, like, hypes herself up as this, like, motherly figure, but, like, every turn she, like, also is kind of a terrible mom at the same time. Like, you know, the scene where she goes to, like, court or whatever, and she's like, "You have no right to take away my son. Like, I want to see my son. I want to see my kid." But then, like, the main character, her ex-husband's like, "You're like a terrible person. Like, you're gonna expose like our child to all these like awful things or whatever." And then when like the judge like pries into her personal life, and she asks her like, "When was the last time you got arrested?" And like we never get an answer to that, but it just cuts to her crying because it's like,
Yeah.
it's this person who is essentially just vilified by society just purely because of what she does professionally.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like it really does like a great job of essentially humanizing porn stars, basically. Um, because both like the characters that aren't, you know, the people in the porn industry, and like, you know, just people in general, tend to vilify and like demonize these types of people when really they're just like, they're kind of just chill dudes, you know. They're just people who like partying and who like, you know, who like going to like buying clothes and like opening up stereo shops and all that stuff, you know. But like the way that these characters are constantly vilified because of what they do professionally, you know, like Don Cheadle's character is another character who like is vilified because of his past profession, like how the bank like wouldn't give him a loan because of his past like experience like working in porn and stuff like that. It's just such a really interesting like way of exploring that without like beating you over the head over it. Like that's what I love about PTA, like especially in the context of the film. Like he does a great job like showcasing how, like, you know, he does a great job of expressing his themes, his message, but it does it in a way that like is engaging and it makes sense within the film, and it doesn't like result in like you beating you over the head over it. Like, look at them, they're people too, or whatever. You know, it's just like a naturalistic way of like glimpsing into their lives, you know, and showcasing, no, like they're not these like people that should be demonized. They're like, they're just average like everyday Americans, you know. Like it's just this interesting way of exploring this idea, and I thought PTA did a great job.
But it's also like film in general is kind of like a I guess kind of a love letter to porn, but it's also just like, it's not like being like, I guess, glorifying or being like this is a good thing entirely to it. But it's kind of like I guess the kind of mythos surrounding it, and also the kind of like slightly like shady underbelly, like the kind of people working in it, like the colonel, and just that kind of affiliation, or I guess association, like that this is not, there are some very like kind of fucked people in this scene. Like it's not,
Yeah.
not everyone is like Jack Horner being artistically minded, but it's also like it's kind of like that it attracts the most kind of like sort of I guess, like broken people in a way, or people who are just kind of like yearning for something that they can't quite get, like to do something that they want, like artistically, or for fame, money, or for something, love even. It's like they're all kind of like very looking for something in their own way, and that kind of attracts this kind of like weird, fucked up family, I guess you could call it. Like they're you kind of call them like normal American
family.
people, but I don't think they are, because they're too unique to call them normal. Like all of them, like I guess Roller Girl and what's John C. Reilly's character's name?
I forgot.
The Magician Man. That's what.
Magician Man.
Yeah.
It's like all of them are too unique to be normal, so it's kind of like a weird sort of family, and I think that's why the ending works so well. It's like the family kind of getting together, like they're at their best when they're with each other. But it's also like it's kind of like a cliche ending, like some sort of like pornographic thing. Like this is how the story ends, with like you getting the movie star role because you had sex with the executive or something. Like it's something cheesy. It's like, oh, I forgive you. Now we're all best buddies again. Let's all turn on the camera and this and that, and like everyone has a happy ending.
I will say that's the only flaw I have with the film, and I guess it is kind of a big flaw, because like so this was my second time watching this film, and I think like there was always something that was holding me back, and I think you exemplified exactly what like is preventing me from giving this like a 10 out of 10 perfect score. And I think it's that ending. It's like they essentially just like kind of speed ran through, like, which was weird because like the first like 2.5 hours are just like, or 2 hours and 15 minutes are just like this like slow yet engaging build up and like, you know, follow through on like all the characters' lives, and it took its time. But then like the last like 15 minutes happened where it's like, oh, Mark cried, and then Jack was like, okay, I forgive you, and they hug, and then like it's all good. Like I was like, what? Like like, and it didn't even seem like a poking at the fun type thing, like in Magnolia, where like, you know, Magnolia felt like more self-aware about those things. Well, I'll get into this later, but like Magnolia had like those scenes where it's like, this is the part where like in the movie where like the blah 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 this stuff happened, you know, like they didn't really feel that way at all at the ending. It didn't, like, I guess it had some sense of self-awareness, but like it didn't really feel that way to me. I was just like, oh, okay, I guess you wanted a happy ending to wrap things up, and I guess you got it, I guess. But
I don't know, for me it was like, you know, they kind of saw Doug Diggler, I guess, as like they're like Jules was saying, it is like some screwed up family dynamic, and like even though they have their flaws, like they are still able to come together, and that's why they work, and that's why in a weird way they like belong together, and that's why they feel like a family. And also I think like Jack was also kind of a bit down on his luck, and so was Doug Diggler, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So like them coming back together, like they like you could see it like in their eyes. That's what I love about the film. It has amazing eye acting. There is a scene of Julianne Moore alone. What she's doing with her eyes is absolutely crazy. But yeah, like them coming together is kind of them like wanting to maybe see if they can give it a fresh start, you know, like get back together, get some money again, you know, like spark things up again, because they had both like kind of hit like this lower point, you know. So yeah, that's how I kind of see it. I don't know though.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't like I guess it did kind of take me out of the movie, but it wasn't like so awful where I was like, oh fuck this, like 1 out of 10 or something like that, you know, like it wasn't like that at all. Because like I said, the performances in the moment are still amazing, you know, like Mark crying, like while like laying on Julianne Moore's lap or whatever. That was a really great scene. I thought that scene was well shot and well acted and everything. I just think that
Every
like
performance
I
is
think
just amazing.
yeah, great performances in general, especially from like Burt Reynolds, because apparently like he doesn't like the movie or something. Like apparently like he and
PTA
were constantly
didn't get along.
yeah, apparently they were like
That's
constantly
funny.
clashing or something like that. But like it doesn't really feel that way at all because he gives a great performance. Like he fits very well within the film.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
he's amazing.
So like and even like small characters who don't really have like huge arcs are only there for like a couple minutes. Like their presence is like
Alfred
really
Molina.
like still like impactful. Yeah, Alfred
Yes,
Molina,
that
like
scene. Oh
Alfred
my
Molina.
god, dude.
that
That
was just
scene.
I was like
Amazing.
I think the first time I watched
Yeah.
this film, I was like, damn, did this suddenly become like this weird like crime drama or something? Like what the like it was such a great scene. It was so uncomfortable and so tense. And like obviously that was the intention. That was the intention. Jesus, sorry. It was done on purpose. But like Alfred Molina's like performance
I also
in
have
particular
hiccups
in that
too.
moment. Sorry, I'm very I'm not I'm kind of under the weather right now. I'm very
It's okay,
I'm very
man.
sick. Um but Alfred Molina's like performance and that it like he's only there for like 5-10 minutes basically, but he does such a
Mhm.
great
He's so
job like
memorable.
captive. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
so memorable and he essentially like
And the music they
it,
use in that scene.
oh yeah, like the license. Like I'm not really the biggest fan of like including unnecessary licensed music in like movies and stuff like that, but like the way that the licensed music and they're all like basically like poppy like uplifting 80s songs, but PTA managed to like make these songs very like uncomfortable to sit through, and it's because of Alfred Molina's performance, who just like is just like hey what like how much do you want, you know? And then when he like gets the shotgun and kills Thomas Jane, and then he goes after Marky Mark and John C. Reilly. He's like, "You
Yeah, he chases
puppies,
them down the
come back,
street
you
out of the house and
puppies!"
stuff, and
Yeah, it's
yeah.
so good. Yeah, so and not
It's
just
also
like
like
Alfred
I
Molina,
mean
like
the thing that makes that scene so great is the fireworks that are going off, or the firecrackers that are going off constantly.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like a
that
constant like clock, you know, you're like waiting for something to
yeah.
go wrong. Yeah.
yeah,
And I read that
mhm.
his
Well,
direction in that was he told the actor like just throw one off whenever you want, like there's no timing to this whatsoever, just whenever you feel like. So a lot of the times the reactions that you're seeing from like Mark Wahlberg and that are like very genuine because they're actually
It
that's
like
so
seemed
funny.
genuine, yeah, because it seemed like he was just throwing the firecrackers just whenever he wanted, and because there was no coordination. Like it felt like a genuine surprise when like Mark Wahlberg and John C. Reilly, they were like, "Oh God, stop it, please!" You know, like it felt very genuine their
Mhm.
reactions, you know, and yeah,
Yeah.
Alfred Molina, like damn, like man, if Doc Ock was like this shit, you know, like Spider-Man would have been fucked. That's all I'm saying. So,
yeah.
um,
What I really like,
I watched this film with someone who had never seen it before or really even heard of it, and watching that scene was very funny. Just watching his
mhm,
reaction to that.
yeah.
that's so good.
Alfred Molina
Um,
should be in
Yeah,
more movies.
I think
Like that
that
scene
to be
alone
honest, I
like
think
proves
this
how
has like
talented
the
he is.
best.
Oh no, I was just making a comment. Yeah, you go.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that I think this, honestly, circling back to the soundtrack we were talking about, I think this is the best soundtrack of any movie. I think just every scene is just used to,
yeah.
or every song is used to absolute perfection. It's used
Well, I like
appropriately. It doesn't feel
ooh,
like it's out of place, or it's like, whenever, like, I don't know, fucking Illumination or some shit uses like
exactly.
a
That's
random
exactly
song
what
for no
I was
reason.
like.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And I've heard people say like, "Oh, but is Boogie Nights not just carried by the soundtrack?" But no,
I,
because
It really doesn't feel that way.
I think when a soundtrack becomes good, it's because is when you like because you know you're making a film, you know, and it's like how you use the music in terms of what you're making as well. Like, yes, you remember the music, but you remember the scene that accompanied the music as well, don't you? Do you want to know why? Because it's a good fucking scene and it used the music appropriately within the
yeah.
scene. That's why you
Yeah.
remember it. It's
It
because
it
like
feels
you
like
said,
very
Illumination like uses these exact same like popular 80s songs, but you just remember that the song was in them. You don't remember what the
Mario
fuck was
movie.
happening on screen, you know? Exactly.
Yeah.
Mario movie.
You just
I
remember that it was on
like
the Spotify chart.
yeah, exactly. But like with stuff like, especially how PTA uses his music in at Magnolia as well, fucking phenomenal. It's like you remember the scene because of the music, sure, but you remember it because of all the other elements that made up the scene as well. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just
The songs
fantastic
themselves are
stuff.
good, but it's how the songs are used that really makes them memorable, especially within the context of the movie. Like,
Yeah,
to me, like the way like PTA uses licensed music, it feels like very reminiscent of, say, like how like Quentin Tarantino like uses music in his films
Yes,
as well.
exactly.
It almost felt like the same thing where it's like they have a bunch of like licensed music that like you might have heard of or are familiar with, but like the way they're used to like create a lot of like tension and suspense and build up, it's like that's what makes the use of music great. When it's like when if it's a song you like and you still like associate it with this movie, where it's like, oh, I don't like this song just because it's a song I like. It's how the song is used that really makes it great. You know, it's like when Quentin Tarantino plays that "Stuck in the Middle of You" song, like during like the ear rip off scene, like in Reservoir Dogs or something like that. It felt like very similar to
One
something
thing
like
goes
that.
to David Bowie scene a song in Inglourious Bastards, the film set in
Yeah,
1945.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but it's like the opposite of like a fucking Baz Luhrmann movie or whatever, where they just
Yeah, I
spam
was about to say
fucking
like Baz
shitty
Luhrmann,
popular
Jay-Z,
music
Great
just
Gatsby
because. Yeah,
soundtrack.
Baz Luhrmann wishes he could use music the same extent as to PTA. Like it works within the context of a PTA film because it not only like fits the time period, or not even the time period, it fits the specific scene that PTA is going for, but it actually like works and enhances like the actions that the characters are making. Compare that to like fucking like Baz Luhrmann, where he just spams rap music just because he feels like it. Like when they like just play like a random
Like
like
Suicide
Jay Z
Squad.
song, and like yeah, like when he spams like Jay Z songs and fucking like Great Gatsby or whatever. It's like what the fuck is this shit? Like what? Like, like when he just plays random rap music in a movie about Elvis for just no reason whatsoever. It's just like, yeah, so like anyway, I don't want to like make this a big like anti Baz Luhrmann thing. I'm just saying PTA is the good version of Baz Luhrmann. That's the thing you should take away from this discussion. So, um,
yeah, I could agree to that. Why not?
I can agree with
yeah,
that.
so
Yeah,
so and not to go back to the minor characters, I want to briefly talk about William H. Macy's character for a second. Like I fucking
Yes.
love his character too.
hmm
Oh my
I'll
god,
be
like
talking about him in Magnolia, but
yeah,
like the other, was it last episode or maybe a few episodes ago, we were like talking about like our favorite actors. I can't believe that I forgot about William H Macy because
oh yeah.
Amazing.
he's not in many movies, but goddamn, I fucking love him. I
You
fucking
love him in
love
Jurassic
him.
Park 3?
Yes, I do actually. I fucking do, and I will stand on this hill. He is amazing.
Why are you not going to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes then? Because you know he's in that, right?
What
Oh,
he
yeah.
is?
I didn't actually know
Yeah,
that.
he's in it. He plays
Okay,
a
then
human
I'll go
character.
fucking watch it. I'll go fucking watch it then. I'll go watch it just for him.
I William H. Macy truly, I don't know what it is about his physical appearance, but he really does scream, "Oh yeah, if you need someone to play a cuck or a loser, then I'm your guy. I have the physical appearance of that." Not that I'm saying William H. Macy himself is that. I'm just saying he certainly has the physical looks to be a character like that. But I love how like William H. Macy's character. I love that fucking scene, that like oneer where like the New Year's Eve party or whatever, where like he's looking for his wife. Um, and he sees his wife like cheating on him for the 7,000th time, and I think that
Yeah.
was like something about that moment was like his breaking point, because like after he doesn't even say anything, he doesn't even say what the fuck are you doing, like he did in the first scene where his wife was cheating on him. He just stands there and then he just walks, and it's this all in one take where he just goes to his car,
Mhm.
gets his gun, and then
Amazing.
shoots the couple, and then shoots
Mm.
himself. It's all like within this one take, but it does such a great job of like not only is that scene technically well done on its own, but like it really does a great job of like, really getting into the perspective of William H. Macy's character at that moment as well. Like he just can't stand it anymore. So he just walks and he gets his gun and he shoots them and then he shoots himself. I guess it's like, what's the fucking point? It's such a great scene, and I really loved William H Macy's character in this film as well. So
another reason why I wrote lots of eye acting in all caps in my notes, I remember, is because when you actually are first introduced to William H Macy's character, he's like coming up to Jack. And Jack like has his eyes fucking locked in on Dirk Diggler, like his performance is so good. And then as soon as William H Macy like comes into his peripheral vision, he immediately like loses interest. He like starts looking away from him, and it's like it's like little things like that, and it's like you could tell just through his eyes that he does not want to deal with this right now. He doesn't like this character. But then when he had like his little memorial, like the photo, I was like, or the painting, I was like, God, that's actually so sweet. Like they build up Jack to be like this character, like even though he had wrongdoings, he still cares about his family, like real Sopranos kind of vibes, he's still there to be a family man, like at the end of the day.
It's all about family. It's like what Vin Diesel said. It's all about family.
And this movie it kind of is like they are all built together to be this like screwed up little family, but it's who they are.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is the only movie that has like a bunch of actors where it's like, I don't like you in literally anything else, but you're great in this somehow. Like I mentioned like Mark Wahlberg, but like I think like this is the only movie where I can say like Heather Graham and like Thomas Jane gave like great performances, because I don't really associate them with like as like good actors or actresses anyway. Like I can't really think of another movie that they've been in which I consider great, and like this is the only one that I would say like, oh, you gave like an actual great performance in this one, like. But and there are like plenty of actors in here where it feels like, oh, they kind of peaked at this moment and then they just kind of then that's all kind of downhill afterwards. Yeah, this is also probably my favorite performance from Julianne Moore. Maybe. I think so. I don't know.
That's too difficult. That's too difficult.
Oh, yeah, I guess I forgot about Safe, yeah.
She is my favorite character in this movie. Do you guys have a favorite character from this movie? Mine's Julianne Moore, easily. It does phenomenal.
I think Don Cheadle. I like Don Cheadle.
Yeah, I like Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle's character is fucking awesome as well.
Yeah.
The way that the film reveals to you that he actually got his video store, like the advert with him dancing, like it's so funny. Like,
oh my god, that robbery scene is fucking phenomenal. Like the way they coordinated like the gunshots in that scene, where it's like,
amazing.
That one like guy shoots the robber, but then the robber shoots the guy, and he's like, ugh, and then like he accidentally fires his gun at the moment where he's pointing at like the cash register guy, and it blows his head off as well. I was like, oh my god, you son of a bitch. Like, how did you that was such great coordination. Like the way that like the guns went off like at different moments. So good. I really loved that scene. And it feels so gratuitously violent, because like there isn't really any other scene that I guess except like the Alfred Molina scene. That gets as violent as that moment, but it still like works. It still fits within the context of that film.
The suicide scene and the murder the William H Macy scene.
Yeah, exactly. But in that moment, like it feels very cathartic. It feels very earned, because before that scene, Don Cheadle's character, like he feels kicked down too, because it was before that moment he was rejected by the bank. They wouldn't give him a loan because of his past with like pornographic material and stuff like that. So when he sees the bag full of money, that the dead robber has, like it feels very earned, because like, well, he was never going to get this money legally, like the bank was never going to give him a loan, so he might as well take advantage of that situation to like truly start his stereo business. Like it feels like a very earned and very like cathartic moment, like such great coordination, but also fits within the context of the story.
I love how the film progresses. Like I was trying to chime in a bit earlier when we were still talking about like the pacing and stuff, but just like the way the actions happen in the movie, it kind of feels like this movie going from like night to day in a weird way. Like it's kind of like a movie that has like the vibes of like nighttime party scene kind of thing. But it also very much uses that like in its progression, like kind of like I don't know how to describe it, like after hours. Like that saying and How I Met Your Mother, Timmy, like nothing ever happens after 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
And like
about.
eventually because the movie like starts off like all kind of carefree party, like stuff's happening. But eventually it does hit that 2 a.m. point where like everything just goes wrong. Like it hits like the dead of night, like then you get like the Alfred Molina scene. You get the scene where like the roller girl like kicks the absolute ever living shit out of like that guy on the floor. You get like the scene where Don Cheadle like commits the robbery. Like it hits like that those like after hours like the darkest point of the night, and that's why I don't really mind when it kind of suddenly switches to like the daytime again, and it's like kind of more chilled, like it's morning, we've kind of like slept off the all the haunting like dark shit that just happened, it plays very well in that sense, it kind of feels like it's a movie that feels like a night out in a sense, is what I was trying to say the whole time. Which like is obviously very fitting for the film. But yeah.
My friend described it as like an incredible high followed by like a really shit hangover.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way of describing it. It feels like this movie culminates what it's like binge drinking. That's a good way to describe it.
I mean, it's also just kind of like
yeah.
very kind of reminiscent of like the way that the 70s and 80s progressed. Like how I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the new Hollywood kind of film movement, which is very tied to semi-tied to obviously like the porn movement of the 70s. But it's like it was like at the end of the 70s was kind of like a time of like very kind of like sex is cool and partying is cool. I mean, partying is always cool, but it was a time of very liberal freedom and like lax regulation, and then fucking like
America
in the
was
late 70s, the blanket of cocaine just kind of descended upon Los Angeles in general. And then the safe 90s came along where we were like, none of this anymore. We're gonna clean up our act. Everything is safe now. Yeah, none of that shit.
Yeah.
It's like there's no room for any of these kind of things anymore.
Where
it's
like
also like you have to grapple with like the way that the electronic cinema and stuff and like digital recorders and stuff are coming around. Like the things are going at a very fast pace where there's not room for this very kind of old fashioned stuff that like it's kind of like a sort of a we all know how like trends kind of just like they last like
come and go.
Not even a week now. Like back then it was like moving fast. It's like, oh, this stuff that was like popular a few years ago that like did like incredible business is like kind of dying off now in favor of new stuff. And it's like, how do you adapt to this kind of changing thing while also kind of keeping what made it so pure in the first place, which is usually impossible.
Yeah. And
even
they
like in small ways.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. Like, yeah, they tie into that a lot, like in small ways throughout the film. Even just like Don Cheadle, like, oh, I'm gonna bring the cowboy look back,
I was gonna mention the same thing. Yeah,
he fucking should, because he rocks it. Hell yeah, we love to see it. But yeah, like it's kind of like a film about like the times are changing, like things we gotta we got it.
Yeah. Don Cheadle's outfits, like just like the disco, like nature of the film, just in general. Yeah, like because you got to remember that like at some point, like halfway through the film, like the disco scenes like kind of like stop happening because like that's also reflective of the time period as well, where it's like disco isn't cool anymore. Like it reminds me. I don't know if you guys have seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But I always chuckle, like there's this character called the Disco Strangler, And they had, and him and the police chief Captain Holt had this really like funny interaction where like the Disco Strangler's like, "I'll be coming back for you, baby. I'm just like Disco. I will never die. True, Disco will never die, but you will." And it's like, I always chuckle at that scene because like disco was this like dying trend, like immediately, like once the '80s like happened, like disco was just this like forgotten era. It's like how like synthesizers are no longer cool like once the '80s like ends, because it's like, oh, this is kind of cringe, this is kind of shitty, like let's leave this in the '80s, that sort of stuff. So yeah, great ass movie. I love how PTA has two modes, either '70s San Fernando Valley, California, or like period piece. I find that funny. I like it. I like the two modes that PTA likes putting himself in. So, because I'm assuming Punch Drunk Love also takes place in '70s
You
California,
bet
right?
your bucket.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
I assumed as much. Yeah,
And he's kind of had like a very kind of weird thing where he's like the first, like, I'd say from like Punch Drunk from Hard Eight to Punch Drunk Love is kind of like his kind of experimentation era where he was kind of, I guess, just doing whatever he wanted. Like he made like very kind of, I guess, not crass, but like crude almost. Like he was not. They're not kind of. They are mature films, but they're not really mature films, if you know what I mean. Like dealing
Sure.
in subjects like kind of porn and gambling and stuff, and fun stuff. But like but then from
fun
like
stuff.
There Will Be Blood, from There Will Be Blood onto like Phantom Thread, I think is his most like kind of where he's very maturing as a
Yeah, because
filmmaker.
he grew up,
Going to a
like he
more
was
kind of
making these
quieter
films
area,
when he
which
was
I mean,
like,
they're still very loud movies because there's crazy shit happens in There Will Be Blood and also Phantom Thread,
hmm,
but it's like he's kind of coming to a more sort of I guess just mature side of himself. Just really kind of
yeah.
progressing as a filmmaker, kind of paring it down a little bit. Like Phantom Thread, he had a very small crew with him and stuff, shooting on location and stuff. And then I think Licorice Pizza is kind of the culmination of those two kind of eras into something.
Kind of like a return to form for him.
Yeah,
Oh well, I guess he did Inherent Vice as well. That was also his '70s California era movie as well, right? Or
it's more of a
I
kind of noir-ish, I guess.
I guess, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't really care much for Inherent Vice, and my thoughts on Licorice Pizza have soured ever since I first saw it. But whatever. So, is his new movie, is that also going to be like a '70s era, like San Fernando Valley, California type movie as
No,
well?
that's apparently going to be set in contemporary times for the first time ever in a PTA film.
Well,
Ever.
really? That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
All I know is that like apparently has like a $200 million budget or something. Like that's crazy.
$100 million budget.
$100 million, and like Leonardo DiCaprio is like going to be in the movie or something. Like
Yeah, finally.
that's insane.
Oh yeah, did you guys
Yeah,
know that Leonardo DiCaprio was originally going to play Dirk Diggler in this film?
yeah, I know. I apparently he regretted like not taking the role because he was like, ideally I would have
He
found a
wanted to
way
do
to do both
Titanic instead.
Titanic and yeah, he wanted to. Ideally he would have found a way to do both Titanic and Boogie Nights at the same time.
Director's commentary for this film.
No,
It is perhaps the
No, I have
funniest
not.
director's commentary you'll ever listen to. It is amazing. Some of the things that he says are incredible.
Mhm.
That's, I gotta go
At one
listen
point,
to that then.
he gets up to take a piss. Like he says, like, I gotta take a fucking piss, and then he leaves for a bit.
He did the complete
And then
opposite
when
of that kid in Magnolia.
And then when his credit comes up, he just says, "I wrote and directed this film." By the way,
But like Jules, just to add on to what you're saying, like I totally get what you mean. Where like these his earlier films, like it ties into what you were saying earlier, where like he was kind of like maybe a bit arrogant, but he was also a genius at the same time. Because like it also just ties into like his age, like he was 30 at the time of
he was
making these
27.
films, yeah, 27. So it totally makes sense why he made like all these party like kind of movies, and then like as he grew and matured, like his films grew and matured as well. It's a very fitting little timeline he's
Yeah,
created.
in a
his
way,
work.
PTA is going through the same thing that like Quentin Tarantino is going through as well. Like I know I compared him to Quentin Tarantino as well, but like it felt like a lot of Tarantino's like earlier films like felt like very
I don't think he's ever
ambitious, but
changed, to
also
be honest.
I mean, I feel like he matured a little bit from like
I don't think so.
from Inglorious Bastards onward, because it feels like his from like Inglorious Bastards to like Hateful Eight feels like kind of a similar thing that like PTA was going through from like There Will Be Blood to Inherent Vice, Phantom Thread-ish
I don't
era,
think
where
so,
like
bud. You
he
have
was
not seen
still
Phantom Thread.
I guess not,
Yeah.
but I feel like in the same way, like Licorice Pizza was like PT's return to form to like his roots. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood also kind of felt like a return to form for Quentin Tarantino, because that was like his first like what era was it in? 80s, 90s? I don't know, like 90s era like crime shit that he did back in the day when he was still doing Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and stuff like that. So
I don't think really like any of Tarantino's movies are return to form movies because they're all just
Yeah, they've
feel
always
like
kind
one
of
of
just
his
been the same. They've
movies.
just been his kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
I
fine,
don't think there's a
like
culmination between like Inglorious Bastards and Reservoir Dogs. Like they're just
yeah.
they're Tarantino movies. And
And
yeah,
like
they don't
some
yeah.
people
culminate in
don't
Once
need
Upon a Time in
to.
Hollywood.
Yeah, like some people don't need to mature, like, and they still will be
Yeah.
fucking fantastic, like Tarantino.
He
Yeah.
couldn't mature because every single project is like unique from him in a different way than PTA.
So, do we want to move on
But
to
yeah,
Magnolia now? I've pretty much said everything I wanted to say about Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
yeah, we can
Cool.
move on.
Cool. I'm giving this one a 8 or
Oh,
9 out of 10. I don't know. Oh,
wait. There was one more thing that
Oh yeah.
I wanted to
okay. Yeah.
mention that
Go ahead.
it just popped into my brain recently. It's about the eyes again. I'm sorry. I mentioned Julianne Moore's eye acting earlier, and I didn't actually um, mention which scene it was. But like in the scene where like by the pool, I think it is, where she's like kind of like looking at Dirk. Um, it is like crazy, like the layers of like acting that's going on because it's Julianne Moore trying to act like kind of like what's the word, like I guess sexy, like she's trying to like kind of swoon him over to her, like trying to act presentable. So it's her acting as that as an actor, but she's also trying to hide the layer in that facial expression that she's actually attracted to him. So she's trying to fake being actually attracted to him, but acting as if she is attracted to him, even though deep down she really is, but she's trying to act like she isn't, but at the same time she is. I don't know if I did a good job explaining that, but if you go watch the scene, you'll know exactly what I mean. Just the layers of what she does with her performance in this film is crazy, and that's why she is like such a phenomenal actor. It is, yeah, that's why she's my favorite character in this film.
Mm. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
Julianne Moore is just my favorite actress in general.
Yeah, same,
Julianne Moore's
honestly.
great in this. Yeah, I love her.
Great in
She's the
everything.
Yeah.
best.
Mm-hmm.
Except Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh,
Is she in
yeah.
that?
Wasn't
Yeah,
she
she's
in
in that.
Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World?
And she's great in
She
that.
is.
Yeah.
She was in this and Boogie Nights the same year.
Jesus. That is
Lovely.
She had quite a year.
yeah.
What
Mhm.
a yeah.
She was in one of the best movies of all time, and then Boogie Nights. So all in the same year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Wasn't she in
yeah.
was that Harrison Ford film that came out that year? Or was that earlier? That was earlier. Sorry, I'm thinking of The Fugitive.
So yeah. So
Okay, well,
anyway,
oh wait.
as I said, yeah, I'm giving this an 8 or 9 out of 10. I don't know. It's one of those, you know, Like, it's not like a perfect film by any means. I do have like tiny flaws with it, but the tiny flaws are substantial. But it's still a great movie. Like, I could see this again like tomorrow if I really wanted to. It's just that fun, that engaging.
Yeah, I'm also gonna say a 10 out of 10. I think it's one of the best films of all time. Could watch it anytime. It's so fun.
I don't know how you can't give it a 10, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's just perfect. It's just fantastic. Like,
Are you also giving it a 10 out of 10? Or
yeah, I think so.
okay.
I think it's appropriate. I think it's a perfect movie.
Yeah, I guess it is weird that I'm not giving this a 10 out of 10, considering how much I tend to talk about porn and hentai and stuff. You'd think this movie would be the perfect swan song for me,
no
but
hentai was shown,
that's true.
unfortunately.
Yeah, if PTA made the same movie, but it was about hentai instead, then yeah, easy 10 out of 10. The the easiest 10 out of 10. No.
Alrighty.
All right,
now
Magnolia. I guess.
Magnolia.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very, very important movie to me. Magnolia. Where do I even begin? My favorite PTA
What's the
movie
plot?
for starters. Oh, what's the plot?
Oh.
Okay.
What's the plot?
I don't know. Watch and find out. Basically, it's like a bunch of characters, and it's about how all of their stories intertwine through these weird circumstances, I guess. There's not really a main character, I don't think.
It's an ensemble piece.
Yeah, it's like a very much an ensemble. It's about all of the characters. Each
Apparently,
character is
John
given
C. Riley is
time.
considered the main character according to like the Golden Globes or some shit. Because I remember like in one of the awards, like John C. Riley's character was considered the main character because he had the most screen time or something like that. I think that's just
Yeah, but it's
how
not
these
a
awards
film
like.
it's not a film that's trying to have a main character
Oh
or
no,
do
not at
this
all.
or do
I'm just saying,
that.
like according to these like award shows, like whoever has the most screen time is technically the main character, and I guess John C. Riley technically counts because he had the most screen time, which didn't feel that way at all. I honestly thought that like Tom Cruise had the most screen time out of any
Everyone has an equal
out of
amount of
everyone.
screen time.
Yeah.
It's just because
Well,
everyone's so
some
popular.
characters. It feels like some characters like had more screen time than others. Like I'm not going to pretend like Julianne Moore's character in this one, for example, had like the most screen time or whatever, you know. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, like William H Macy didn't have a lot of like that much screen time either. Let's be honest as well. But
Oh
but
yeah. I mean, William H Macy is actually my favorite character in this movie.
really, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, Jules is a person that doesn't like has told me that he doesn't really have a favorite director because he kind of like bounces around, and I'm kind of like that, but for movies. I don't think there's a day or I don't think there's a week that can go by where I don't change my favorite movie. I have a bunch that are up there, but depending on the time, depending on what's happening in the month, what's happening in the year, what's
I don't
happening in the
have that
bloody
issues.
week.
Stanley Kubrick has been my favorite director for I think like 5 years now at this point, and that
That's a
hasn't really
normie
changed since.
response, though.
I mean, sure, but like that doesn't change how much I love his like all he's the only director I've given like more tens than anyone else, I think, like I don't really feel that way about any other director, but so anyway, sorry, continue. I was interrupted you, yeah.
But yeah, what I was essentially trying to say with all that was that I think Magnolia for now is maybe my favorite movie. Yeah, I just connect with it a lot. I'm gonna maybe sound like a bit of a I don't know, up my own ass, yeah, I guess. But I mean, there's just a lot of things in this movie that have happened in my life recently that I connect to a lot, and I am very much someone that really is drawn by these small little circumstances that we have in our lives. I'm someone that like when one of those things happens, like one of the thing that the whole movie is about, like these little weird circumstances, like those moments stick with me. I'm like how? Like, and I know they stick with everyone because that's why these moments are so memorable. But yeah, I'm just one of those people where they like really personally stick with me, and like someone who's been in a lot of near death experiences, I just have to walk off and be like, huh, okay. There was just a weird circumstance that happened, or it's like this is like kind of like the weird like PTA version of like one of those movies where it's like two people meet and like somehow their pasts are intertwined. It's like one of those chance moments, but it's obviously done in the PPA way, where we have all these characters and how they are all linked in this little valley. And I just think it's very special. It's very human and like having this invisible string of connecting everyone together. Um, yeah, it's just a very lovely movie, and I adore it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's
You want me to start
it's
off, Timmy?
even
Because I'll just talk briefly about it and then kind of get into it later, and then you can talk about your kind of first experience watching this film.
sure. Yeah,
Obviously, it's a fucking masterpiece. It's like one of the fucking best films ever. I haven't seen it in such a long time, just because I feel like if I have to see this movie, I have to see it in one go, and that's like a big time commitment, obviously. And yeah, it was just as kind of emotionally affecting. I absolutely love it as a kind of mosaic ensemble piece. It's just beautiful, so well constructed, so well cast, so well performed, so well shot, just so well directed, just everything amazing.
It's also good. I love how it's basically like the exact same cast as Boogie Nights, but like with some extra people, like
Yeah.
and they're all playing like different characters, from like
exactly.
they're like Julianne Moore's character in this is like very different from like her character in Boogie Nights, and same for like William H. Macy and Philip Baker Hall and all these other people. Yeah, very, very different characters, very different people, and yeah, same goes for Philip Seymour Hoffman as well. Like very, very different characters. So, do you have more to say, Jules, or do you want me to go next?
You go into it, and then
Okay.
I'll start later.
Okay. So yeah, I guess this was out of all of us. I had never seen this movie beforehand. This was just it's been on my watch list for a long time, and yeah, this was my first time watching the movie. And I didn't really know what to expect. The only things I knew about the movie were that it was kind of an anthology movie, I guess, but it's really just more of an ensemble piece than anything. And Tom Cruise like is the best part about the film. Like whenever I hear people talk about this movie, like the first thing people talk about is how great Tom Cruise is. And yeah, he's really really great, and I guess he's like he gives the best performance, I guess, technically kind of, but like what I really loved about this film is that this film managed to get me to care about 9 different main characters at the same time. Like it's already hard enough for a movie to get me to care about one, but to get me to care about 9 is just like really incredible. And I think for the most part, this film does a really great job of giving everyone like the amount of like characterization and time and build up as they do. Like everyone has their own individual arcs, but you can see how like each of these characters like are connected with each other, and in some ways more obvious than the others. Like for example, like Stanley has a very like close connection with like William H. Macy character, for example, because they're both like stars of this like game show that Philip Baker Hall like presents or whatever. But like William H. Macy is like someone who like used to be famous because of this game show, but like that was like a long time ago when he was a kid. And now he's like all the success and money he earned from that game show like didn't mean anything in the end because his parents took away most of his money, and now he's like in this dead end job as like a salesman or whatever that he later gets fired from. And then he is unable to express his love for this like bartender who has braces. Like half the things that he does in this movie are just like whatever the bartender's into, I'll do it too. So like I'll get braces even though I don't need braces, until he eventually needs braces when he breaks his spoilers, when he breaks his mouth by like after he falls from the pole. And you can see how like Stanley is kind of like on path of essentially being like William H. Macy in the next like 20, 30, 40 years or whatever, because he's also in like a very toxic relationship where like
Oh.
his dad only loves him to the extent that like he can make him money from this game show, but he doesn't really give a shit about Stanley himself. Like he doesn't really give a shit when like he needs to take a piss, and like no one seems to care about the fact that like he needs to take a piss. Like, and it's such like a basic necessity too. Like the kid just needs to just give him 5 minutes. He'll be in and out of the bathroom, but like he doesn't even deserve that apparently. And I love how like he just kind of like breaks down on like live, where it's just like, you can't treat me like this anymore, like I'm a human being. Like
Oh.
I'm not some like this prop that you can like use around like as a like I'm not this like cute kid that will smile and say cute things or whatever. And that's just like one instance where like the characters are connected. Like that pretty much happens with everyone else. John C. Reilly and what's her face, the daughter of Philip Baker Hall's character, I don't remember her name. They have a sort of connection going on, and then there's all the stuff with like Tom Cruise and his relationship with his like estranged father, who like I oh my god, pretty much every scene with Tom Cruise I think is just amazing, like 10 out of 10. Like I love how like his persona, his like, control, like master the pussy or whatever, tame the cock. Like it like the way it
Respect the
contrasts
cock,
between
tame the
yes,
cunt.
yeah, that's it. Respect the
Yeah.
cock, tame the cunt. Like yeah, he essentially like, I love how this movie essentially like predicted Andrew Tate like 30 years 30 years from now. Like that's pretty incredible. Like I guess there were people like this beforehand, but like I love how this movie kind of like predicted some things in the future. But like anyway, what I was saying is like I love how like Tom Cruise's like persona in that film, like he's this macho ladies man who can get any woman to sleep with him or whatever. Like contrast with this like interview where the reporter like asks him about his relationship with his mother and his father, and how like it's revealed that like, like he was abandoned by his dad, and he had to basically take care of his mom until she died. And so because of that, it like made him the way he is. It made him become this essentially, this Frank TJ Mackey is just like a persona. It's not who he really is, but he feels like he has to be this character, because like no one was there to give him the love and attention that he needs. So like when the interviewer like asks him about his past, like he just gives him this like this death glare or whatever, and be like, I'm silently judging you. I think that's what Tom Cruise's character says. Yeah, it's such a great scene, and there are, like I said, there are plenty of that stuff throughout the film where it's like every character has their moment to shine. Every character has that moment where it's like, oh shit, like I know a little bit more about you, and it really like fundamentally changes how I perceived you and stuff. Like I remember during our like in our group chat, I was like, this is just Evangelion, but like for non-weebs basically, and you guys were like, what? Like shut up. But then like the more I explained, you guys were like, okay, I can see your point, like, and that's really the best way I can describe it. It's just Evangelion for like pretentious film douchebags instead of disgusting weebs. Like that's really the best way I can describe Evangelion. So, and there are lots of parallels too. Like the frog, the raining frogs, that like
What'd you think of
genuinely like
that?
caught me, but that one genuinely caught me by surprise. I was not expecting that at all. I was like, hey yo, what the fuck? Like I was like having that
I'm
moment.
so
I was like,
glad that like this is like such a big movie moment, but like everyone has just decided to like keep it under wraps,
Keep
like
quiet.
no one has
Just
spoiled this
no one
moment.
spoils this bit.
Yeah, because it is so like, what the fuck? Like what? I will not forget the first time that I ever witnessed
I will never
that.
forget the first time I saw that.
It is like it is absolutely crazy.
Honestly, one of the most successful jump scares of any movie ever.
Yes, literally.
Honestly, yeah,
Literally.
yeah. Because this was my first time watching the film. From what I understand, because I later looked this up on like Google and Reddit and shit, like there are like a tons of like references and allusions to like Exodus 8:02 or something like that. I don't remember the exact. Yeah, but like because I was so Yeah, because I was so
Yeah.
focused on like the narrative and the characters, I wasn't really like paying attention to that at all. So like when I re-watched some clips and I saw like a Google image of like here are all the references to Exodus 8:802, and I was like, oh yeah, there were like some of them were like more subtle than I could have realized. There was like one of them was like,
Yeah.
oh, if you look at the number that like Frank TJ Mackey gives, like it has 802 in the number. It's like there was no way I would have gotten that. Like there was no way I could have picked that up the first time. But then
Yeah.
others were like, oh yeah, that's I understand why they did it, because there was that scene in like the game show where like that guy was like holding a poster of like Exodus
Holding up the
802.
sign,
Like
yeah.
yeah, I was like when I saw that I was like, is this like a reference to something? Like I don't really like that one was more noticeable where I was like, I don't really get the
You think
purpose
it's
of
like
this.
a
And
kind
then
of
like
like a gag at first, like obviously, like oh yeah, there would be like a crazy Christian guy with a sign, like on a game show trying to get on camera with his thing, kind of like your mind can stretch an explanation for it, like it seems reasonable. But
yeah.
yeah, so
But
that
then like
one's
when
kind
like
of
the
noticeable.
raining frogs, yeah, when the raining frogs thing happened, I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Like PTA was pranking us. Okay, I see. He was pranking me. Okay,
Well,
cool.
you
Like
see the Exodus
yeah.
you see the Exodus 8:2 thing, whatever, right before the frogs start to, when the rain stops and before the frogs kind of start coming down.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait to like rewatch the film and like really pay attention to these. Like, because again, I didn't really notice most of this stuff. Like, because I was more focused on other things. So like, when people are like, "Oh yeah, there were plenty of references to Exodus 8:02," and I was like, "Really? I didn't notice this at all." And then
Yeah.
now I was just like, "Oh, okay,
And
cool. Like,
to
I'll make sure to look out for this in like a rewatch." Like, and that's another comparison between this and Evangelion. Both of these art forms really love their Bible imagery. They really love their Jesus shit. So, um, and I guess like the
yeah.
raining frogs is like you said, Jules, when you were comparing the two. Like, I guess it's all the raining frogs is kind of this versions of like the third impact or whatever. I guess it's kind of the same thing.
I mean, I wasn't
But
really saying that, but yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
so
and like just talking about those frogs, like it is like the perfect visual representation of like what this film is going for in like these small little things that like seem impossible, like these small little coincidences, these little things that should be impossible, but
They're
like
not.
still happen, but they're not
are possible.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it's like it's the perfect like just like hitting
This
the
happens. This is
hammer on the
something that
head.
happens, as Stanley
This is
but it
says.
something that
fits within the
happens.
film. Like it
Yes, I was about
strangely
to
fits.
say.
It
Yeah, that.
strangely fits because like if any other movie did this shit, I would have like taken a step back and I'd be like, what are you doing? Like are you stupid? But like in this it felt honestly kind of appropriate. It felt like in a way kind of like this like biblical like slap in the face, be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like it felt like a slap to the face for a lot of the characters, be like, what are you doing? Like
Exactly.
why are
And
you ruining your
to
life
some of
like
them,
this
it
way?
is like a physical slap in the face, you know? Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
like
just.
that scene where like Philip Baker Hall's character was about to like shoot himself, but then like a frog like crashes through the window and like stops him from
Yeah.
shooting himself. That was
And I love
so
how
good. I really love that
That's
scene.
the
great.
Yeah.
the frogs raining, which is already like an almost impossible event, leads to even more almost impossible events, you know? Like the frog conveniently landing on the gun, like that was gonna kill this guy. And the
Yeah.
frogs leading the ambulance like to crash directly in front of the hospital, like this already impossible event led to like more of these like little sparks, and it's like these moments are all around us, and like Jules said, it's just something that happens. It's just something that you gotta, accept in our lives. I love like how at the beginning of the film, oh, and that line, by the way, it is probably my favorite line of any film. It resonates with me so hard. And like at the beginning, like they kind of have like this police detective procedural thing, and the narrator in that is like, these can't just be things that happen, right? Right? And then
Yeah.
we get into this whole film, and
Yeah,
it's like
I
you
love
have
the
to be
opening.
so intelligent to think of like shit like that. Like a fucking scuba diver getting picked up and landing on a tree. Like you have to be like so fucking genius to think of such a silly idea like that, and that's why I fucking love Paul Thomas Anderson. It's
Exactly.
like
Yeah, the
wow.
opening
It's
does
like
such a great the
yeah.
opening does such a great job of establishing like what to expect from the rest of the film. Because like the first
Yeah.
time I saw the opening, I was like, "What? Like, what's going on?" Like, I was a bit confused. I was like, "What is the purpose of this?" But then, like, as I was watching, I was like, "Oh, I now understand like the purpose of the opening." It does like a great job establishing what to expect in the rest of the film because it's like that's essentially what happens and like throughout the rest of the film where it's like, oh, you thought like this moment where the guy kills himself but dies from a gunshot and not the suicide. Well, technically there was this other thing that led to that moment. It was like
Mm,
it's like sort of like a butterfly effect type thing, and like the whole movie is like that. It's a butterfly effect. Like when
yes.
one shit happens, then like another sort of thing happens. You
It's
know?
just like it's just connecting us together as people, like through this invisible string, and like how we're all we're all connected in our own little ways,
Yeah,
where
and
we
in some
realize
ways,
it
like
or not, and it's
and in
like,
some ways they connect characters in ways that I wasn't expecting. Like I love like I think out of all the characters in this movie, I think Claudia might be my favorite. I really loved her character. I think she was probably my favorite character in the whole film. I really love this sense of like she honestly kind of reminded me of like Shinji from Evangelion. Like she kind of felt like the same
Kind of, yeah.
type of character.
yeah,
Yeah, where she's so self-destructive and she hates herself so much that like even when she wants to connect with other people, she like physically can't because like she hates herself so much that like she's afraid of getting rejected by other people, even if she didn't give them a chance to. Like she doesn't want to give them the chance to reject her, so she purposely like self sabotages her relationships. But
mm,
like even with her flaws, like you can tell like some characters like don't give it. Like John C. Riley, like I really love John C. Riley and Claudia's relationship, where like you know John C. Riley's like, I don't care like about I don't care about your past. I don't care about your mistakes. Like if I cared about these things, I wouldn't want to be with you. Like I want to be with you, like regardless of your flaws. And like I'll help. Like we can go through these things together. And like you can tell, like John C. Riley's character, like he's very lonely too. Like he doesn't have anyone to connect with himself. He doesn't have like anyone to like express his feelings towards. Like one of the sadder scenes is like it comes off as funny at first, but the more you think about it, like especially within the context of the film, it's just really sad where like he's like monologuing but he doesn't have anyone to like listen to his monologue. Like it's like later revealed that like, oh, all like the monologuing he does, like it's just to himself, like, because he doesn't have a partner to like go on like
mm.
patrols with as a police officer. So like when he
A
finally
fantastic
meets
cut
someone
at
who
the
like,
beginning.
yeah,
When,
really
Yeah,
when it's
fantastic cut.
revealed that
Like I
he's not
said,
actually
but
talking to
PTA
himself.
knows how to PTA knows how to edit his films. Like the editing in just all of his movies, but in this one in particular is just impeccable. But what I was saying is I love how like this is the first time he finally has someone to connect with Claudia, like like he didn't even think he'd get a date with her, but she does want to go out with him, and he's just like. And he's very open too. He's like, I'm the laughing stock, like of the police force. I lost my gun. I don't have a partner. I don't have anyone to spend time with, and I want to spend time with you. And you can tell she wants to do the same as well, but she fucking like hates herself so much that like she can't even like she doesn't have like the courage to like tell her about like for example her cocaine addiction or her relationship with her father and stuff like that. And you can see like how that date like really impacts like John C. Riley when he sees William H. Macy's character, like, because it looks like he's trying to break in, and to be fair, he does. But rather than like what he
He is.
originally was like,
well,
yeah,
yes.
rather than, well, he is, but like rather than what like John C. Riley did at the beginning, because like John C. Riley was this like hard ass who was just like, you better stick by the rules, or else I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna arrest you, like how he arrested like that one lady who was like, get out of my apartment or whatever, but after his encounter with Claudia, he finally like realizes, oh, people are like these people are just people trying to get like he learns to empathize with other people even if they might be doing bad things, because like he sits down and like he listens to William H. Macy's character talk about how like, oh, I have so much love to give, but I don't know how to give it. I don't know how to give all
Yeah.
this love
Oh,
that's like inside me and stuff like that.
okay, Jimmy,
Another
you're like
classic
jumping
Evangelion.
through like so
No, I
many
really
things
love
right
this movie.
now.
I told you, like I was like, I'm so thankful that you got me to watch this movie because I have so much to just there's so it's like a fucking spider web, you know. It's like there's so many things that's connecting other things, and it's like it's just
still have
oh my
shit to
god,
say
you
about
know.
the frogs, but we're like so gone now.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to like go off
I'll
of
get
like
back to the
7
frogs.
different topics. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Yeah, but I just
Yeah.
really wanted to because the other reason why like I compare this to Evangelion is because I was feeling the same emotions that when I was watching
Definitely.
this, I was feeling the same emotions that I was when I was watching Evangelion, where it's like it really feels like a movie about like a bunch of characters who really just fucking hate themselves, who dislike themselves so much that like they'd rather just like pretend to be someone else or like try to like distance their mind from how much they hate themselves through like distractions like sex or drugs or their work or something like that, but it's like it's when they finally like they can't take it anymore or they finally like get the opportunity to connect with another person that they finally just like, oh wow, I can't keep living like this anymore, like I can't keep being like this anymore, and like some people are just too far gone, like the Philip Baker Hall character, for example. Like he like reveals that he cheated on his wife like multiple times and even like molested someone or whatever at some point, and it leaves him alone. But then other characters like Tom Cruise and like the dying old guy Earl, like he even though like Earl was such a fucking piece of shit. He was such a terrible fucking like dad and person to his son that like Tom Cruise really has zero reason to visit Earl. He has zero reason to care or empathize with them. But because of like how broken and like hurt he was from his childhood and how like empty he feels, like he can't help but like cry for his dad, even though his dad doesn't really deserve it. His dad doesn't he doesn't deserve Tom Cruise's tears. He doesn't deserve any sort of empathy. Yeah, he feels bad about it now, but like that doesn't change what happened to him. And but Tom Cruise is still essentially inherently like this good person who will still care about like this terrible ass father who really doesn't deserve a sympathy, but he still does it because like he can't help but like sympathize and empathize with him. Like I really love how like Tom Cruise has this monologue to like the fucking like sneeko people who are just like, you have to pretend to be a good person so that you can get into a woman's like pussy or whatever. But like he starts breaking down because he just inherently doesn't believe that, because he's inherently a good person who cares, not because like he has some ulterior like motive. He cares because he genuinely like empathizes with people even if they don't deserve it, like anyway, like I could talk about everything for like hours, but I've said enough. Yeah, you guys can interject and go back to whatever topics you wanted to talk about or say.
I want to get back to the frog scene and how I think it's the most kind of important scene in the film, because
definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the best part. Like,
oh yeah, definitely, it's like the craziest bit. Because I'm gonna get back into like the kind of the I think the religious aspects of this film and kind of how it relates to the characters, where it's like I've got the passage up here, like the last part of it says, and if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs. And I think that I know this is not I was not the one to make up this theory. It's kind of a common interpretation that that Stanley in this film is is kind of like a, I guess, kind of sort of a prophet almost. He's the only one who's like he's not surprised by it. He's like, this is something that happens, but it's more like it's more like that the frogs is like kind of like a baptism of sorts, for all the characters, and it's because it's only after the frog scene that all of them kind of have their kind of moments of like forgiveness, understanding, coming to terms with everything, and it's like basically that it's just like the phrase "it's something that happens" is kind of like it's improbable, but it could happen. Like animals falling from the sky is something that happens. Usually it's like fish who get picked up by like tornadoes and stuff and get like flung miles in the sky and then fall down. And it's not an improbable thing, and it's just like how forgiving yourself or moving on from something or coming to terms with something that's like that seem you have such a kind of apathy for, I guess. Like your kind of the Claudia's cocaine addiction, or Frank's kind of thing with his father, is like, it seems like something that's impossible, but it does happen.
Yeah.
It's a miracle, but it does
It can
happen.
get
And so,
better.
okay, that's the baptism is the frogs, and that's what allows them to kind of become their better selves. It's like the physical moment, like that all of them collectively decide to do something, to make a decision, to change something, or to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also
And
that
some
the
people
other,
just like need that shit. Like some people need something
yeah,
as extreme as
exactly.
that to like
It's like
finally
you
wake up
need
and
the
go,
heavens to open, essentially. It's like you
yeah,
need that guiding light, and this is like their
You need someone
guiding
in your
light.
life, and that someone is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
setting it up for J-Man,
Um,
big guy
and I love how
upstairs.
they
I also
I love how they set
I also
up
wanted to, yeah.
oh, sorry.
Oh, was it about the frogs or what?
It was kind of. It was just more about like these
Yeah,
moments, but
then go on,
you
because
can
I
carry
wanted to
on.
get into another thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like I love how these are just a few random little details, but they relate. When the frogs are falling, and like it's kind of Stanley, like kind of like smiling and like just like he's not surprised at them.
An amazing
There's
shot
a
as well.
sign above him that says non-fiction. I just thought that was a lovely little
Yeah,
detail to
yeah, that's
throw in
good.
there.
That's
He
good.
really is
Um,
Shinji. He was like, yeah, this is my third impact moment right here. Like, I fucking love Stanley so
yeah.
much. Yeah,
But yeah, like I love how they like introduced that he had like an interest in like meteorological devices and the rain and the weather and stuff, and he's like,
Yeah,
and he looks at this, he's like been through all this fucking like shit, and he's just like, yeah, I'm smart, I'm a smart kid. This is just something that happens. This is like and yeah, like I love how they kind of allude to like this moment, because it is the moment. It is like the most outlandish fucking thing that happens in this movie. Something that's still possible, but it doesn't seem like it. It's kind of like that Nope, the phrase from Nope, like a bad miracle, like something like kind of like that,
yeah,
because they allude to it in so many ways, like even the documentary that the Magnolia documentary is called That Moment, and then there's like that shot that like zooms in on the painting, and like there's just this really cryptic text that says then it happened. There's like all these like cryptic little details that all like pinpoint together to like that
love
relate
it.
to this thing. And it's like,
The,
yeah, it's just like about like, oh yeah, sorry, Jules, you can
so the
go.
reason it's the documentary is called That Moment is not for any kind of thematic reasons. It's because that every kind of cut to a new scene in the script it says that moment.
Yeah, I know, but it's still like just a fun little like
Yeah, I know.
like kind of Easter egg kind of
I
thing,
get you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
like
call it a bad miracle though. Like you mentioned the Nope thing, and that is thematically appropriate. But like, yeah, it's more like I said, it's just a wake up call for a lot of these characters. Be like,
yeah, it's just like finding hope in the small moments, like
yeah,
It's literally
these
hitting them in the face
characters,
sometimes.
yeah, literally
yeah.
like wow, like
It literally
yeah.
was a hit in the face for William H. Macy because he broke his teeth like after one of the frogs like hit him or whatever. That was
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah.
So, and one of them was to prevent a hitting of the face because again, like the guy tried to shoot himself, but then the frog like stopped him from doing that. So. Um, but even like some other characters, like it really was a wake up call. Like I love how like Claudia like once like the frogs like break her window or whatever, like she starts screaming, but her mom is there to like comfort her, just be like,
Mhm.
I'm
amazing.
here for you and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, like it's really crazy how like each one of these characters could have their own movie, but the fact that like nine
Yeah.
of them are all like crammed in this
Magnolia
movie and it
spin-off.
doesn't
The Magnolia.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
Magnolia Chronicles.
yeah, the MCU, the Magnolia Cinematic Universe. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah,
The
I
theme
love
song is
that. I
just
love
like
that
the
last.
wise up.
Yeah, I love that last shot where like Claudia like it's your gift or whatever, like that where Claudia like stares at the
I love that
stares
too.
into the screen.
What do
Really,
you guys
really great shot.
interpret? Because I kind of interpreted that as like, you know, like the whole film is like about like this invisible string that's connecting all these people together. Like, you obviously they have that moment, that Amy Mann song where they're all singing. That's also kind of just like a little thing that's like bridging them together. You know, they're all experiencing these emotions. They just have to wise up. You know, and like that ending that's like kind of the point of the film where she like brings the audience into it, you know? Like, it's making us aware, it's making us part of it, you know? Like, just how these people are connected with this invisible string. This is the moment where she's recognizing us, like, and bringing us into it. And I just think it's a beautiful, like, crazy, incredible ending. Like, it's so satisfying as well, like the way that music drops. I know, Timmy, you were going on about how you really love the Wise Up song. But that
Yeah,
song at the end is actually my favorite Amy song from the film. I think
okay.
it's absolutely incredible. The Save
I
Me.
just love that moment, not just because the song itself is very, very good. I've been listening to that song like on repeat while at work, because it's a great concentration music. But it also, like, I love
Yeah.
how, like, on paper that scene, the Wise Ups scene, like, should not work at all.
It
Like,
seems
it sounds
ridiculous.
cringe, it sounds cheesy, you know, it's like it just should not work at all. And yet PTA somehow made it work, you know, like he's somehow
Yeah,
like
he did. Of
he's
course he
somehow
fucking did.
yeah, like because it's not only like, you know, stylistically very like great to look at and to listen to, but it also makes sense because like you said, like we're talking about how like all these characters are interconnected, you know, like it seems like they're living separate lives, but they're all really connected by this like this string, this theme about like self-love, you know, about how like, you know, they feel like they don't deserve like to love themselves, you know, and like but they're and they're all connected by the fact that they feel incredibly lonely and like, you know, and nihilistic and just, you know, they just don't have, they just want someone to connect with, you know. And they're
Mhm.
all linked by the fact that they desire human connection. They desire some semblance of happiness and warmth, you know. And some
Yeah.
characters are, you know, want to make the step towards that. You know, that's what at least what I get out of the final shot of the film, where like Claudia like smiles towards the camera. It's her like
Oh my
maybe her
god.
like realizing that she finally wants to make the effort to like be
Mhm.
happy, you know. And Jim, the John C. Reilly's character, kind of like is her way of like finding that happiness, because John C. Reilly clearly wants to be with her and she clearly wants to be with him, but it's like it's that barrier that's like preventing them from being together. But she finally like, I think her like looking at the camera is her way of like saying, okay, I'm not gonna let this barrier like stop me and stop John C. Reilly's character anymore, you know, like I'm finally going to reach for the happiness that I so desperately desire. Again, it's like end of Evangelion, you know, like even after all the fucked up shit that happens, you know, like Shinji still desires to be with humanity. He still desires some sort of like emotional connection with other people, even if like he might get rejected. And like Claudia is kind of the same character where it's like she fears rejection. She doesn't want to be betrayed by like a sense of hope, you know, but like so she'd rather just reject everyone and just not even give a shit. But like she realizes that, oh, like yeah, this might end up failing, but like I at least want the chance to have happiness instead of just like being too scared to actually pursue it, you know. So yeah, like I said, Claudia's my favorite character, and then like Tom Cruise is probably my second favorite character. Then everyone else is just kind of oh wait, no, Stanley's my third favorite character, and then everyone else is just kind of like in the same bubble of like, yeah, these characters are cool, they're awesome, they're great, whatever, but like those three in particular, those are my
Do you
favorites.
have a favorite character, Jules?
I don't know. William H. Macy, maybe. And then, I don't know. There's so many
Yeah.
good characters in this. It's just amazing.
Do we want to talk
Oh,
about,
God.
or do you want to talk about your thing? Because I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind about
I was
talking
gonna get
about
on
William
this
H
to Timmy
Macy,
to finish.
but yeah, you
Yeah,
do
because
your thing.
I also want to talk about I think another thing about this film that I think is a very prominent theme is the impact of almost not really not entirely a critical statement, because it's also like the stuff with Claudia's mum, but also just kind of like a thing about just like parental neglect and the effect it has on people, like
Yeah.
or just abuse, if you want to, as well. Because it's like a lot of the things that happen to the people in this film are like the reason that they are the way they are is because of just like they don't have that connection with their parents, and I think it kind of just really like fucks them up in a way. Like the Tom Cruise character, Frank, it's like he
Yeah.
never was able to get the kind of love and affection from his father. And as a result, he's kind of adopted this persona of like, I'm doing this all myself. I'm gonna tough up, be a man, and then, but it's like it's a shell, really.
Yeah.
It's a kind of defense mechanism to his very real vulnerabilities that like he wants his father to love him, and he fucking hates his father because his father doesn't love him. And then that's why that I think that ending scene is so affecting with like his last thing with him, because like he's physically incapable of now of forgiving him, basically. Like it's done, like he can't, and then so
Yeah.
there's nothing left for him, and it's like he just kind of starts like all his memory is starting to come back, and it's just like he's just fucking just melting, like just it's all coming back to him, and it's just like it's too much.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I think the just like
Yeah.
what it does to people, like because like when you don't have like a kind of parental affection in your life, it really just fucks you up, because like your parent is basically your kind of guide to life, to kind of teach you and nourish you and just like, protect you and just kind of always be there for you, be your person. And a lot of these characters just don't have that, and it leads to them like just they feel lost because of it, because they're looking for someone else, but they can't, because it's like they haven't been taught anything, and it's or told anything. And yeah, and there's a lot of that in the film, like the William H. Macy's parents being just like fucking him over, basically, and the Tom Cruise one I
Yeah.
already discussed, and the
Yeah.
Jimmy Gator,
Another thing about William
and
H. Macy's
Stanley's dad,
character.
and even like the little the black kid and stuff. It doesn't he say like he doesn't have one parent or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All these
Yeah.
dads are like equally as shitty as Gendo from Evangelion. They're all like relatively on the same level of shittiness.
Yeah, and
Yeah. I
it's
don't want to go too deep into my own personal life, but like a lot of the things that we've been talking about, like rarely hit close to home with me. So it's like that's why this movie just it feels like so appropriate in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah.
this one gets it. This one just fucking gets it.
William
Yeah.
H. Macy character is insanely relatable.
Oh gosh, yeah.
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 And one thing about him, just to tie into like these ideas of like things that don't happen, is that he was struck by lightning.
He was
Like
struck by lightning.
he,
1 in a billion.
yeah, yeah, 1 in a billion fucking chance, and like that's just like another little little detail to add to it. But it's like wow, it's like yeah, and his
That's also
character is
another thing.
perfect. Oh yeah.
His kind of selling point is that he's like his or just a thing of the film is purpose, and like
Hmm.
there's characters in this that have like a kind of very kind of reduced purpose or thing that they can say is their own,
Hmm.
or they have an inflated sense of purpose that is really a nothing, like Tom Cruise. But it's like his character was like struck by lightning, and I was like I won the $100,000 on the Jimmy Gator show, and it's like, but that's nothing. Like he's a
Yeah.
E-list sort of known celebrity. He's like, oh, I'm this guy, and they're like, oh, hey, I remember you. It's
Yeah.
like, again, there's real people like that. I just saw on Twitter like some fucking like the other day, like some guy from like 10 years ago was some like meme or something, like who's still kind of going under that persona, although no one cares or knows who he is, probably. Like, they're real things. Like, people cling to that shit because it's the only thing that they have, that they feel like that they've done in their life, like that they've accomplished nothing else. Like what's his name? Like, now that they're trying to, that some of them are trying to still find that. Like the Julianne Moore character's like, oh, I've fucked up. Like, I need to just do this one thing. And like the Tom Cruise characters has, like, I guess, tricked himself or deluded himself into thinking that he's found his purpose and that everything is all good. And Claudia is like kind of an aimless purpose, and Jimmy Gate is like kind of like is like, I guess, that just doesn't care about like his show. He's not like a warm person. Like, actually,
he knows he's gonna die, so he's like,
so he just doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, he's just like, whatever.
Jason Robards Earl is like just trying to find his son to just tell him like that he basically, and like the Philip Seymour Hoffman character is just, even though his one is like the most, like, he's got the least kind of stakes of anyone in the film, but it's like, it's also so personal for him because he's just trying to do this thing for this person.
Yeah, he still plays an important role.
And he knows he's operating under a clock. Like, it could happen any day now. And also, by the way, fucking Jason Robards in this film, who plays the old guy Earl, fucking incredible.
Oh,
he is,
absolutely.
This was his last
really
film role before his death, and he is incredible. Like, what a way to go out.
There's a line,
like, he was so much good
that
stuff. Like, he was in fucking Once Upon a Time in the West, and All the President's Men, and fucking Tora, and I think he was in Raise the Titanic. He was originally going to play like Fitzcarraldo as well. You can see that footage in the Fitzcarraldo Burden of Dreams thing. Like, he had a very long, good career. He was in lots of stuff, and
there's a
what a way to go out
from him. When he's in the bed, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's like, "How long haven't you talked to your son for?" And he's like, 10, maybe 5, and like, you're sitting there trying to piece together what he means by that. You're like, 10 years, 5 years, and then you realize, no, wait,
he was 10.
Like, he was fucking
he was
10
like
years
10.
old.
Yeah,
like,
he was 10 or 5 when he left him. Yeah, so and when you keep in mind that, like, keep in mind, like, if he was that young when like his mom was dying, you know, like, because they mentioned he was like 14 or 15 or whatever when he had to take care of his mom. Yeah, like, they mentioned that like his mom like was still like grappling with some semblance of hope that like maybe like Earl would come back to like see her like one last time, but that never happened, you know? And like, but like, he kind of got that like last goodbye from his son, which again, he doesn't deserve that, but like the fact that like Tom Cruise's character still gave him that, you know?
That's what he's thinking.
Yeah, his son deserves it though. Yeah, his son deserves like one last like go fuck yourself, you know? Because like yeah, it's really sad, but it's also like very hopeful as well.
It's just kind of like I forget who says it, but it's just like, you want to face your, what is it? I forget this line, but it's like, I think it's John C. Reilly that says it, where he's like, we may be through with the past, but the past ain't through with us, or something.
It's the narrator.
Yeah,
it's the narrator.
The narrator says that. And that's like, I think that's that's the most like telling kind of like direct thing that the film is trying to say.
Definitely.
It's about like, I guess the ways that people are happy. It's like, religion, fucking just happiness in general, love, and how it shelters you from like your past, your abuse that you suffered, the injustice that you've suffered, just everything that you've gone through. And it's like, Jesus Christ, it is beautiful.
Yeah, such a beautiful little movie.
It really is. Yeah,
it's easily my favorite PTA. Like, just like, because of all the stuff we've said, like, just how much so many of the moments and the lines like hit in my little heart. Like, I know I haven't said the most, but like it makes perfect sense inside my brain, and that's where it needs to make perfect sense, for
Yeah.
like the most, it's like
and honestly, like
it
I had
fills
a
up
lot.
all those cues, like
And
so
honestly, like I
perfectly.
had a lot to say about this movie. Like I had an entire 10-minute spiel, but it still doesn't feel like I experienced everything. Like it really
No,
feels like one of
definitely
those. It's like
not.
you haven't experienced the movie until you've seen it at least like twice. It really feels like that kind of movie as well. So, and
I
I'll
mean,
probably get
even
more
just
out of
like
this in
the
a rewatch too.
title. I mean,
Yeah,
even just like the
Magnolia.
title, like Magnolia. I'm pretty sure, like it's like a flower
Magnolia is
that's
like a flower. Yeah, a
yeah, it's like
blooming flower.
a blooming flower. It's kind of like these people blossoming, blooming, but it's like a flower that expresses like purity and stability, and it's like it's them trying to find this magnolia, like bloom as a new, like, because at the very beginning you kind of see the construction of this flower. Oh, we didn't even talk about the music, but like to have like fucking One Is the Loneliest Number, the first song fucking in the movie, that
Why?
makes total
Yeah.
sense. Like, yeah, because these bitches are all alone. And
Maybe all alone.
God, that scene where fucking William H. Macy like enters the bar for the first time, and you've got Goodbye Stranger, and he's like looking at the guy with the braces. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like, dude, as someone who's got braces in my life 2 separate times, I understand.
I have never had braces.
I had them. Yeah, most of
My brother had 'em.
middle school and some of high school. Yeah, I had braces, so they're not fun,
And then
and I
yeah,
don't
like
miss
his
them.
line, like I've just got so much love to give, but like not
Yeah,
knowing
I
where to
really
put
love that
it,
line
not
as
knowing
well.
how to express it. It's like I like that the first time you hear him say that line, he's kind of like drunk, and he not really know what he's saying. He's clearly like, but then you get to the end of the film, and it's still something that he genuinely like. Because if we just heard him say something like that when he was drunk, we would have been like, okay, whatever. He was just fucking drunk. He was just speaking out of his ass. But
Then
then
he
you
says
come
it
back,
again. Yeah,
yeah. Then you say it again, and then you're like, oh shit, this is just something that like he genuinely struggles with. It's something
Yeah.
that he keeps with him, and it's like, oh yeah, my favorite performance of the film, my favorite character, like so good. But everyone's so fucking good in this movie. Like
Jesus Christ,
everyone
yeah.
is just the only thing that I find kind of annoying about the movie is that Stanley was the only fucking kid that ever answered a question. That's it. Like, but
Yeah.
it makes sense why. It makes sense why. Like everyone around him was being such an asshole. Even the other two kids, when they hadn't answered one fucking question, I so badly wanted to be like, Stanley, fucking have a go at them. But it's like, everyone has a go at Stanley, so that's why he doesn't speak up, because yeah, it's just like, oh.
I love the another thing about how it's just kind of like a very like anti I guess child acting, child television, just child star kind of movie. Like it
Yeah.
very like this shit like fucks children up. Like
yeah.
then some of them are assholes. Like the
This is
fat
the
kid
real
that's like,
life
Yeah.
Jeanette
kiss your
McCurdy
pants,
shit.
fucking
Yeah,
And
idiot.
you hear the parents talking like about the kids just like trying to express themselves. Like you hear like the mom talking like, "Oh, my daughter was wearing makeup," and I was like, "No, you're going to school. Like you can't go out looking like that." When
Yeah.
like in the same time they're sitting in the room watching their children on a fucking game show. Like you can't let your child go to school looking
And
how
they're
they
also
want to
like
look, but you can force them into like a fucking game show for your benefit. Like God,
yeah.
like
yeah, and they're also
yeah.
like about like they're also acting like they're watching fucking sports. Like they're just like, yes, my
Yeah.
fucking team is going well.
Yeah,
It
hey,
truly
that's
is
my boy.
fucking.
I
It
hate those
truly
Yeah.
kind of
is like
films,
the.
honestly. So it's like
Yeah,
they live vicariously through their children's kind of success. And that's another thing about this is like you could say that that's kind of like a thing about the film is like that they're also kind of living through their children's success because they haven't been able to make anything for themselves. So the only way that they
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
feel something is through their children.
Yeah, and I fucking hate those kinds of people who are such fucking losers themselves that like the only way they feel any sort of like gratifications about themselves is if their kids like excel at something, you know, like and it's not just Stanley and his dad that like have that sort of relationship. It's a lot of characters, you know, like I'm sure like that's how William H. Macy's character was treated by his parents when he was younger, probably, you know, hypothetically maybe at some point in the past, you know, and
have you guys read that book by that girl that was on
Jeanette McCurdy's
like
I'm glad my mom died? Yeah, I was thinking that same shit. Yeah.
Yeah, great book. Just very fucked up that those people exist, and to be honest, I think the movie kind of like not dumbs it down, but I think they play it pretty kind of safe, I guess. Like those people are way more fucked up and extreme than they're portrayed in this movie, to be honest.
And then Philip Baker Hall is just basically Dan Schneider, but without the foot fetish.
Yeah.
I've said everything I wanted to say about Magnolia. Do you guys have anything else you want to mention?
I mean, probably so many things, but like they'll like come to me and then I'll be like, damn, I didn't mention them on the podcast. Like, yeah, that always happens. But like, just one of my absolute favorite movies. It just gets it. It just gets it. And it's like, it's funny to me that like PTA is like, oh, nowadays I want to cut down Magnolia and did all this and this and this, which is like, yeah, you know, I get you, but also I just think it's completely perfect as it is. I don't think it needs to be changed, honestly.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. Like, I'm sure like there's a more tighter movie like if you cut down like the movie a bit, but I like it the way it is just fine. So I mean, he mentioned in the past that like I don't really know where PTA stands in his own filmography, but he mentioned in the past that like he considers this his best movie, although he also said the same thing about The Master, so I don't really know where he stands. He
said that it's
his movies.
For better or worse, it's the best movie I'll ever make.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, but I think he said something similar about The Master, where he said it's his favorite.
Well, he said The Master
PTA
was
movie.
his favorite that he's made, so that could mean different things.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, so you can have a favorite movie that you've made, and then you can have like something that you truly think was the best, even if like it's not your favorite. You know, like
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Like I'm the same way about a lot of like directors' filmographies. You know, like going back to Kubrick, like I can recognize that 2001 is probably his best movie, but Clockwork Orange is my favorite. You know, it's totally fair. You can totally have that sort of perspective. But
I don't have that perspective. I think that shit's dumb. I think your favorite is the best one.
Yeah, I also think that too. Honestly, like if it's your favorite one, it must mean it's the best one, right? Like that's how my brain works.
I mean, most of the times, you know, like it is that way for me, you know, like, okay, so for example, like fucking Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie, but it's also like universally the best Spider-Man movie, you know, like you can say there are moments like that, but then there are other times where it's like, I recognize that this is the best thing that they've made, but I personally like this one more. You know,
but people will say like, oh, I think this was technically better made as a film, so it's the best. But this other one is my favorite, and it's like,
yeah, you're totally fair.
If it's your favorite, surely you connected with how it was made more than the other, right? Like that's just me though.
I don't know. I think it's totally fair to say shit like that. You know, like I can recognize, say, like I don't know. All I'm saying is I think that is a totally fair thing to say. I don't see anything wrong with that because I've had moments like that. I mean, it's not like
I'm saying like The Godfather is just like objectively that the Francis Ford Coppola's best film, but I prefer as my favorite Apocalypse Now. Like no, I think
you could totally say that. Like that is completely fair. Yeah, and they're both like great movies. They're both great movies. And
you know what I say?
What?
Magnolia is my favorite and the best PTA movie. 47 out of 10. Damn.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I had one more thing I wanted to mention. It's kind of just like a funny thing.
Sure.
Do you guys know the ad? I think it's at the beginning. The TV one is on this number scene where you see the ad of Tom Cruise's like seminar.
Yeah.
He filmed that like months. I think it was basically like a screen test for Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
And
I heard about this as well. Yeah,
and he put it out on television on like late night channels. Like
as like an
people would see
actual
like
ad. Yeah,
as an actual ad before like not much was known about the film. Like, and there was a voicemail, so people were under the impression that Tom Cruise was actually promoting this like misogynistic as hell thing.
that's fun. Yeah, I heard about this. That's hilarious. Yeah, it really
It
is like
sucks
trolling.
that
He's pranking people. Yeah, PTA's pranking
Yeah.
people.
it sucks that Tom Cruise will probably not be in another PTA movie, though. Unfortunately,
He would never do this movie today. That's the sad thing about
no.
that I
Yeah,
don't
because
like
like
about Tom Cruise. Although I love him with all my heart, I think he would. He's not in this era of kind of doing interesting films anymore. Like he had a great 1999. He was in this and Eyes Wide Shut in the same year.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah,
And then it's like,
Those are two
damn,
like the
like,
and then
ones that
afterwards,
jump out to me
after
the
like
I
he
most.
love
used
your
to play
action films,
character.
but like I wish you were in like more interesting stuff. Although apparently
He used to
he's
play
going to be the lead in
characters.
the next Iñárritu film, so that might be maybe a return to that. So we'll see.
And apparently he was
Might not
supposed
be
to be in
spot on.
Tarantino's last film or something, but then like Tarantino
That's
scrapped
true.
the
That's
idea of his last
true.
film. Yeah,
that is
so
true.
yeah, there was a
God
time
damn
when Tom Cruise
Tarantino.
there was a time when Tom
Tarantino,
Cruise
yeah.
used to play like actual characters where he used to play like real
I think he
characters
still
with
does
like
play
interesting
characters.
like depth. Yeah, but nowadays he just plays Tom Cruise. He just plays himself. Like he's literally just like
Yeah, but
he's just
so
doing what
good
The
at
Rock
it.
is doing.
He's like the
He's just
opposite of
doing what
Mark
The Rock is
Wahlberg.
doing. Yeah, he's the opposite of Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, that's a good point. He's the opposite of Mark Wahlberg. Where like, I mean, he still just plays Tom Cruise in everything these days. You know, like I don't know how many Mission Impossible movies have been out since then, but he's just basically been himself. And then like shit like
To
Edge
be
of Tomorrow, he's just basically himself too. So
Tropic Thunder, bro. Tropic Thunder.
yeah, but that was like in the early 2000s. That was like 2
That was in the
decades
late
ago.
2000s.
Oh my God,
That was like
goddamn.
almost 2 decades ago. He hasn't done anything like that since then, you know? Like Collateral was like
Unironically.
probably like the last like great role. Like he hasn't done anything like Collateral either, you know?
No. Top Gun Maverick, I think he's really good in that. Honestly, my top 3 like Tom Cruise performances go like Eyes Wide Shut, Magnolia, and then unironically Tropic Thunder. I think he's amazing in that film.
I've only seen
Tropic
clips of
Thunder is
Tropic Thunder.
unashamedly one of my favorite movies.
I've only seen clips of Tropic Thunder. I've never seen like the whole thing from beginning to end, but I definitely will at some point. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll watch it at some point.
Magnolia 10 out of 10. Yeah, amazing. Just masterpiece.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Get that Magnolia shit out of here.
And I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10, but it could be a 10 in like a second rewatch. It's like almost up there anyway. So, but yeah, I think 9 out of 10 is more than fair. Yeah, I guess this is up there in with my top 3 favorite PTA movies. But at the same time, my favorite PTA film is TBD because it has been a long time since I've seen The Master, and that's currently in my headspace my favorite PTA film. But who knows, that might change at some point.
Yeah,
so
I think There Will Be Blood, just the best one.
Yeah, and he made There Will Be Blood after this, right? Oh wait, no, he made Punch Drunk Love afterwards,
Punch
and then There Will Be Blood. So
yeah,
but
it's tough between. I mean, Magnolia is easily my favorite. It's tough between Phantom Thread and There Will Be Blood, which is my second fave. But yeah, that's my top 3.
I'm just looking at Tom Cruise's filmography, Timmy. He did like a few interesting things in like the 2000s, like when he was in like Minority Report and like The Last Samurai and War of the Worlds. Like he had his little things with Steven Spielberg and stuff.
fucking hate The Last Samurai, if I'm being honest. I don't like The Last Samurai at all. I mean, I don't know how I would feel about it.
The Last Samurai is interesting. You got to give it that.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but like the first time I saw it, okay, to be fair, I was like 14 when I saw it, but even then I was just like, this is some white savior bullshit. Like, what the fuck? Like, because I was like, I'm a huge history nerd, and I was back then, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, they're taking all the interesting elements, and they're setting that aside to focus on Tom Cruise and his shitty white people problems. I was like, you fucking assholes. It's like, focus on the thing that I actually showed up for the movie for, which is all the samurai shit, you know? It's like, so, yeah.
I mean, it is inarguably like a very much a white savior film, but like
100%. It's so unashamedly a white savior. Like it's just like remember those Japanese samurais?
It's maybe the most
they were inspired by a white guy.
Anyone has ever white saviored, and except for like maybe some films in like I don't
Maybe
know back when.
Avatar.
Maybe Avatar. Yeah,
maybe
at least in Avatar, like Jake
But in
Sully had
Avatar-
the decency to do Blueface.
In
You know,
Avatar,
like
he
Tom Cruise
became
didn't
a
even
white
do that
savior
in
just
this.
for sex, basically.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
At least,
So-
he was. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, but I fucking hate Last Samurai. I don't like that movie at all.
I don't like it either.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Jimmy.
Collateral's very good. He gives like a really like scary performance in that. I was like, damn,
He's
I
so
wish you
good
were
in
doing more
Collateral.
shit like this. Yeah, so
You should play more villains, honestly.
yeah, you should, but it
Yeah,
probably like damages his.
like nowadays he's like the superhero stunt blockbuster guy, but yeah, no, he can play some villains. Like he can
Yeah.
do that. Like
He just
Tropic
wants to
Thunder.
be known as the guy who runs a lot. Like that's what he does these days in most of his movies. Like the most notable thing about Tom Cruise these days is
He
just
has,
like
the world
any
record
scenes where
for,
he
like,
runs.
the most running.
Yeah.
That he's the. Do you guys remember that film he did with I think it was Bryan Singer where he plays the Nazi?
Oh, what was it called?
The guy who played the guy who tried to assassinate Hitler with the bomb.
No,
but
I know
failed.
what you're talking about. I haven't seen the movie, but I know it's like called
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie or something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Valkyrie.
Is he good in that?
Yeah, infamous German Tom Cruise.
oh, lovely.
Notable German man, Tom Cruise.
Tom
Yeah.
Cruise is Colonel Klaus von Steffenberg.
I heard he was good in Born in the 4th of July. I heard that. I need to
haven't
watch
seen
more
that,
Oliver
actually.
Stone films.
Have
Yeah,
you
I need to
seen,
watch more.
Interview with the Vampire? Oh, sorry, Jerry Maguire.
I've never seen Interview with a Vampire. I've seen like clips of Jerry Maguire. It honestly doesn't look like my kind of movie. It does not look like something I'd enjoy if I'm being honest. But
Everyone's parents
I'll give it a
love
shot.
Jerry Maguire.
I mean, yeah, it's like a perfect dad movie.
Yeah, he was good in when he was like. This is like when he was like starting out in the Scorsese movie. He was in The Color of Money with Paul Newman.
Oh,
he's really good.
yeah, I haven't seen
Even
that,
though
but
he's like a massive hotshot in that.
I mean, that's like most of the characters he played in the 80s and 90s. He's this hotshot kid that like has too much. Like he has like he has an ego or whatever. That's like pretty much most of the characters he played, except in like Magnolia and
Rain
where
Man.
he was like and like Eyes Wide Shut where he just played a sex boy, you know. So, yeah, I miss late 80s and 90s Tom Cruise when he like actually would take a risk, and nowadays he just cares about his fucking PR image, and that's about it, and like Scientology, and that's about it. So,
has Tom Cruise ever done television? Like, has he ever appeared in any like mini series or something?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's weird that he's never done that.
Yeah.
He's never done a voice role either.
I mean, unless you count him screaming at the people who wouldn't follow COVID-19 protocols, if you consider that.
Yeah, that's my favorite voice role from him.
That's my favorite vocal performance from Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I really hope Tom Cruise goes back to playing interesting characters and not just,
I don't think
I'm Tom Cruise and I'm running.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Anyway, I guess it's Jules' turn for second to last time.
Oh, yeah. Are we doing questions or no?
I did have one question. I don't know if you guys wanted to do it. So.
Let's do it quickly then. Let's get it over with.
All right, fine. Yep.
Just this little one because I thought, if we're gonna end it soon, and there's not many more recommendations to come, I would say, what is your favorite movie that the other person recommended that you hadn't seen before? Okay, so
easy. Magnolia from Luca, and then let me look
up. Sorry, let me get up my recommendations list. I've seen a lot of shit.
From Jules, I guess.
Mary and Max.
Wait.
I think that's my favorite. Mary and Max or The Climb or Perfect Blue, I think, are my favorites.
Okay.
No, you
Not
can have
End of
one favorite
Evangelion?
from Timmy. You can have one favorite from Timmy and from me.
Okay, I'm gonna say for Timmy, Perfect Blue, and from Luca. Who recommended Mary and Max? Was it you, Luca?
Me.
It was Luca. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then Lucas and Mary and Max.
All right. Yeah, Magnolia for Luca, and
what about my guys? What about my ones for you?
I was gonna say
Okay,
Nocturnal Animals, but then I already seen that before, so I guess Apocalypse Now would probably
Yeah.
be my favorite from you. Yeah.
I recommended
I know what
Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, that was you? Okay, never mind. So
Yeah. Okay, well, mine is safe, obviously, for Jules.
Yep.
And then for Timmy, I mean, for Timmy, it's difficult because I think I saw most of the stuff that you like recommended. Like I
so much shit.
No,
I'm sorry, I'm such a normie. I'm sorry, I've seen shit you guys already.
I would easily say Evangelion, but like I had already seen that since like before when I was younger. So, wait, who did
Would it be
Indiana
Tokyo
Jones?
Godfathers? Because I think you hadn't seen that before, right?
Who did Indiana Jones? Was that Jules?
That was
or
Jules.
You?
That was me.
Ah, shit. And who did Evil Dead? Oh wait, but I
did.
I had seen the Evil Deads already.
Yeah, you had seen Evil Dead. I was gonna say,
I
didn't
guess-
you really like
I think it
did
would
you
be
really like Tokyo Godfathers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. So
Yeah, it would probably
I
be
might-
Tokyo Godfathers.
Could I do my own question? Because I just thought of something kind of
Yeah,
semi-related.
sure.
What has been your guys' favorite episode that we've done?
Evangelion.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Evangelion.
I would say so.
Wow. Okay.
That's probably my favorite.
My favorite
too.
episode was the Boy and the Heron, May December, and Wallace and Gromit episode.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Wow.
wait, you know what? No, okay, aside from Evangelion, the Tales from Earthsea one, yeah, I think that one was a lot of fun.
Really?
You know what? It's a classic, but I really like the Pirates episode.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know it's so early on, but I really do have such positive memories of that. Also, any episode that had Jack on it, shout out Jack.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah. Shout out Jack. The movie you made us watch was super mid, but you know, your presence more than made up for it. So.
No, I say this as I was the one who liked it the least, I think.
I just
I thought you liked it the most, right? Or
oh, I think the safe one also was.
I don't remember. Yeah, the safe one was really good. The Titanic one, even though that one kind of got butchered in the edit.
That was funny, like when we were recording it, because
when I was editing that, I was like,
arguments we had in any one. I love that.
And when I was editing that, I was just like, "Fuck! Most of this is unusable." So.
Also, I think
the Southland Tales episode I will always look back on fondly.
Yeah,
that's
another interesting question. Okay,
was funny because it was a funny meme.
Yeah, that one was good.
We finally did the meme, So, and I did exactly what you thought I'd do. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. And then like just the moment of like Jules like upping it up to an 8, like that was just transcendent.
My review of that is still so good. Or I just linked that Danny DeVito video of him saying, "I get it."
Yeah, that was amazing.
And then you sent me like I think it was like 4-minute voice messages being like, thank you, like being like, this is like everyone goes through this arc with this movie, like it's just part of the process. Like,
oh my God. But it's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the process. It's just something that happens, guys. It's just something that happens.
Sure, yeah.
You know what we should do? We should do like a guest ranking, like best to worst.
That we'll have to save for next time. That'll have to I'll need to go.
We all know Jack is number 1 anyway, so like it's the rest is just figure out what where to put everyone else. So
yeah, we should do like a guest tier list. Jack is like S tier, and then everyone else is like whatever.
Just call it the Jack tier, and then A tier, B tier, C tier, F tier. What?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm looking through all the episodes with the guests, and I don't really remember like a lot of like the conversation. But with Jack, that I remember everything. Like,
well, Jack is like one of the few who could like keep up with us, because like remember how like we brought in Santi for Evangelion, and then we just talked over him for like most of that, So like
yeah. But what's it like? Jules had a pretty cool friend on.
Joel. Yeah.
Joel.
Yeah, Joel.
Joel was cool.
Is Joel the only guest that I ever brought on?
I think so.
I like the episodes that had the other SDC members in them as well. Yeah.
The NPC being like Timmy's friends.
I'm really upset that we couldn't bring in Ninjedi for at least one of them, because like we brought
Yeah,
in
we're
Cole, and
sorry,
it was
Ninja
like,
Eye, like,
yeah, we could have brought it. We could have finished the nefarious reels, like.
I honestly
Hello.
am upset that we didn't bring Matthias too. I feel like Matthias was here for so long, like our only fan for
Matthias
so
was
long.
like the most loyal person to all of us. Like he's so awesome. He always likes my reviews. He's always commenting on the podcast. He's always commenting on my videos that I make. He's awesome.
This is
He's
for
awesome.
you, Matthias.
We're just doing him
That's
dirty
Matthias,
by
we love
ending
you.
this podcast. Now we're just like, where is he going to get his source of entertainment now? You know? Like,
Yeah. There's only so much Lupin the Third that he can consume.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, just give us the recommendation, then let's get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. So my recommendation is something we've already kind of talked about somewhat. Considering the new one is out. Sorry, voice crack. Considering the new one is out. That I'm already seeing again tomorrow. The Mad Max trilogy, George Miller, 1979's Mad Max, 1981's Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior, and Mad Max 3: Beyond Thunderdome. Some of the most
ruined all that. I kind of ruined all that by recommending Fury Road. Like,
yeah, I know. I was waiting for Furiosa so I could do we could do the Mad Max like what we did with the Indiana Jones.
We can chuck in Fury Road again. I'll probably rewatch it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys will make reference to it when talking about Furiosa as well.
It's kind of impossible to talk about Furiosa without talking about Furiosa. Honestly, yeah, because like I haven't seen any of the other Mad Max films, but I know for sure like they're not going to top Fury Road. I already peaked, so it's all going to be kind of downhill from here. So
number 2 comes close though. Number 2 is an incredible film.
I've been told the third one is just really bad because like that one had like Tina Turner or some shit.
Was, PG. That's all I'll say. It's PG Mad Max.
A bit of the third one.
Jesus.
For film school, actually.
What?
Yeah. We were doing like setting up a location and setting and stuff, and they played us like the first half of Mad Max 3.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy
George Miller. George Miller co-directed that one as well, and like Tina Turner's in it as like one of the leads.
Yeah, so I don't want to watch a PG-13. Yeah, I don't want to watch a PG-13 Mad Max movie. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, I don't want to watch that shit.
Yeah,
but whatever.
It
so I'm sure I'll have some interesting things to say. So
yeah, we'll see. I'm more curious what you're gonna think of the first one. I don't know you guys
anything about the first one. The only thing I know about the first one is that like George Miller made it for like fucking $5. It's like an Evil Dead where he had like $5 and it was like, all right, let's make a movie. Yeah. So and he was he was still in medical school.
Very close to some of the filming locations.
And I think he was still in medical school when he was making Mad Max, right? So he was like doing doctor shit while making the movie. So what a baller!
I actually drove down a road that was used in one of the chases in the movie, like just yesterday.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, if you don't want to be spoiled for the Mad Max trilogy directed by George Miller, watch them because we're going to spoil them. This will be the second to last time I ever say this. So, unless we come back in like a year or two or something, I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows what will happen? Who knows? Maybe we'll all be nostalgic and miss this and say, hey, we should restart this and do season 2. Who knows? I'd be happy to do that, but you know, it all depends on.
Don't forget about the past. The past ain't through with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
And although we have to end, it's okay. You will still see us for 2 more episodes past this one. And at the end of the day,
and we're recording this one on the 26th of March, and you'll probably be seeing this in August.
It's May.
So, yeah.
26th of May. Okay, let's not March.
What? Did I say March?
Oh, yeah, you said March. It's May. Yeah.
Still applies.
It's just something that happened. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. Bye.
Like 2 minutes, another day, another dollar.
Oh, another day, another dollar. Another one bites another one bites the dust. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.